công lập hàng đầu tại Việt Nam. Chuyên đào tạo các ngành về máy tính và công nghệ thông tin. Quy mô lớn nhất về số lượng sinh viên công nghệ thông tin. Cơ sở đào tạo trọng điểm của Việt Nam về ngành an toàn thông tin. Liên tục dẫn đầu trong các cuộc thi cấp quốc gia và quốc tế. Chúng tôi tạo ra điểm giao thoa giữa học thuật và ứng dụng, tìm kiếm những cơ hội mới, chinh phục những thử thách mới. Trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, khởi nguồn chinh phục giấc mơ công nghệ. Thành lập năm 2006, UIT là điểm đến tin cậy cho những sinh viên đam mê công nghệ. Chúng tôi tạo ra bước đệm vững chắc cho tương lai nghề nghiệp của sinh viên. Hàng tỷ đồng học bổng được đầu tư để tạo cơ hội và phát triển những tài năng công nghệ thông tin với mức học phí phù hợp. UIT tạo điều kiện tốt nhất để thu hút nhân tài từ mọi miền theo học và tự tin phát triển tài năng bản thân. Với cơ sở vật chất được đầu tư hiện đại suốt 10 năm, UIT tự tin đảm bảo cho sinh viên môi trường học tập và rèn luyện hiệu quả nhất. Quan tâm đến từng sinh viên, xây dựng cơ sở vật chất có lối đi dành cho sinh viên khuyết tật, vận động hỗ trợ sinh viên có hoàn cảnh khó khăn, luôn quan tâm và lắng nghe các phản hồi của sinh viên. Đội ngũ giảng viên trẻ tốt nghiệp từ các trường đại học hàng đầu trên thế giới về công nghệ thông tin với kinh nghiệm thực tế mới nhất. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế riêng, phù hợp với từng nhóm đối tượng và nhu cầu của sinh viên. Chương trình chính quy, môi trường học tập hiện đại năng động, giáo trình cập nhật, đáp ứng nhu cầu phát triển công nghệ thông tin trong thời đại toàn cầu hóa. Sinh viên sau khi tốt nghiệp có thể làm việc cho các doanh nghiệp Việt Nam và tập đoàn nước ngoài, hoặc có thể tiếp tục theo học những chương trình sau đại học trong và ngoài nước. Chương trình chất lượng cao, hệ thống cơ sở vật chất hiện đại, tối tân, trung bình 30 sinh viên trên một lớp học. Sinh viên được đào tạo chuyên ngành trong môi trường sử dụng tiếng Anh, không chỉ giỏi về mặt chuyên môn mà còn có cơ hội phát triển nhiều kỹ năng mềm khác. Được các doanh nghiệp tập đoàn lớn ưu tiên tuyển dụng. Chương trình tài năng, nơi chắp cánh tài năng cho các sinh viên xuất sắc. Có nhiều cơ hội cho sinh viên nhận học bổng thực tập tốt nghiệp và học sau đại học tại nước ngoài để trở thành những nhà nghiên cứu, giảng viên và chuyên gia giỏi của các ngành công nghệ mũi nhọn. Chương trình tiên tiến, trải nghiệm chương trình đào tạo tiên tiến của Hoa Kỳ tại Việt Nam. Nội dung đào tạo áp dụng hoàn toàn chương trình của các đại học lớn ở nước ngoài như Đại học bang Oklahoma OSU Hoa Kỳ. Sau khi kết thúc 2 năm đầu tại trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin, sinh viên có thể học tiếp tại UIT hoặc chuyển tiếp sang các trường quốc tế khác. Các tín chỉ đã học tại UIT được các trường đại học lớn trên thế giới chấp nhận. Để hòa nhập và tạo ra môi trường nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi học thuật trong khu vực và thế giới, trường xây dựng các chương trình đào tạo chất lượng cao, nâng cao giảng dạy ngoại ngữ và khuyến khích sinh viên học các tiếng nước ngoài như tiếng Anh, tiếng Nhật, tiếng Pháp, tiếng Trung, v.v. Trường đẩy mạnh đào tạo sau đại học với 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ thạc sĩ và 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ tiến sĩ, ngành công nghệ thông tin và khoa học máy tính. UIT cập nhật các chương trình đào tạo theo xu thế mới nhất trên thế giới hiện nay như chuyên ngành an toàn thông tin và thương mại điện tử và các ngành truyền thống khác như công nghệ thông tin, khoa học máy tính, kỹ thuật phần mềm, kỹ thuật máy tính, hệ thống thông tin, truyền thông và mạng máy tính. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế dựa trên tham khảo các tiêu chuẩn kiểm định của Đông Nam Á như AUN và các chương trình đào tạo quốc tế khác nhằm định hướng tất cả các chương trình đào tạo của UIT đạt kiểm định theo tiêu chuẩn của AUN-QA, khu vực Đông Nam Á đến năm 2020.
One of the things that's great about the advanced education program is that all their classes are in English. For people taking the advanced education program at UIT is that they would take advantage of that opportunity to interact with the professor. And that interaction is one of the things that I think makes education special, and we are trying to provide that kind of experience to students. So I want to be able to push students to think about things in ways that they haven't been able to think about them before and do things that they haven't done.
UIT tạo ra môi trường đại học mở mang tính quốc tế, liên kết với nhiều đơn vị trong và ngoài nước như OSU Hoa Kỳ, Songsil Hàn Quốc, UniSA Úc, RMUT Thái Lan, HOSE Nhật Bản và các đơn vị khác, nhằm thúc đẩy hợp tác quốc tế về đào tạo và nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi giảng viên, trao đổi sinh viên. UIT có quan hệ hợp tác với những doanh nghiệp hàng đầu về công nghệ thông tin trong lĩnh vực cung ứng đầu ra. Liên tiếp đứng đầu trong những cuộc thi về công nghệ thông tin trong nước và quốc tế. UIT tự tin đào tạo và phát triển nhân tài cho tương lai công nghệ của đất nước.
We can hire good engineer from UIT. One, would like to continue to the more closer and stronger relationship with the UIT.
Hello.
UIT hướng tới một nền giáo dục hiện đại năng động, nơi truyền đạt kiến thức và phát huy tiềm năng của sinh viên. Tạo ra môi trường học tập chuyên nghiệp với những sinh viên bản lĩnh.
Thật may mắn khi được bước đến với trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin. Ở đây chúng em được đào tạo cơ bản trên tất cả các lĩnh vực và từ đó khi ra trường thì chúng em có thể tự đào tạo chuyên sâu hơn nữa về những ngôn ngữ lập trình mới và để giải quyết những bài toán hóc búa hơn. Một khởi đầu hoàn hảo cho niềm đam mê công nghệ.
Good morning, everyone.
Chúng tôi nhận ra tiềm năng của bạn. Chúng
Today,
tôi đào tạo và thúc đẩy
it's my
bạn.
honor to
UIT.
introduce you Professor Chuan Chen from Daeking University. Chuan Chen is an associate professor. He leads a research team on deep learning and its applications to computer vision, computational science, biomedicine, and software analysis. Professor Chuan Chen regularly published paper on top conference on AI, machine learning, knowledge discovery in databases. And as I remember, almost 5 years ago, many people start learning about deep learning, but he already wrote about the future of deep learning 5 years ago. So today, he would like to introduce a keynote talk on representation learning on graph. And thank you, Mr. Chuan Chen.
Good morning. Thank Professor Dung for nice introductions. So today I would like to share our works in the intersections between the graph theories, which is fundamental to computer science, and deep learning, which is something that's pretty hot today. And as Professor Dung said, I wrote about the future of it, and I wrote about the quite bad future of deep learning, which not to let down deep learning, but just to advise on the progress, the nature of progress of the research that we move on from what we have today. And I think one of the area that people already move on, which is using deep learning on non-tensors data. So we know that deep learning works well on vectors, grids, and sequences. But then it's the right time for deep learning to move on. And one of the areas that deep learning has touched is graph, because of its very unique natures, right? And that proposes a lot of challenges. So today's I will talk about the 5 main topics. One is embedding, which is probably most of people heard about it today. I happen to review the progress of the data mining in the last few years, and the single most important keyword is embedding. That's very interesting thing happening in data mining. The second topic is about message passing, which is one of the core algorithms in in graph theories and plus deep learning this day. And then we move on to the unique features of graphs, which including the dynamics and how to generate the graphs, and then how to do reasoning with graphs. So the final topic is, it's kind of, we're going back to the original definition of AI, in which the agent can think and reason about the world. Right, so why do we care about learning a graph implementation at all? Right, so a couple of reasons for that. One is that graph is not something that, it's not a mathematical concept by its own. It has a lot of application in all the disciplines. I cannot find a discipline without the graph implementations. You can think of any discipline you can think of, in computer vision, NLPs, finance, database. They all some example of graph modeling and implementations. So if you pay attention to the progress of AI and machine learning and data mining in the recent years, you would see that graph learning actually have matured. It's not a new area anymore. So what I'm talking today is pretty old topics. By definition of the old today, it's about last year, right? So it's 1 year old and pretty old. Because the field is moving super fast, right? So ideas in paper published every single week, right? So if we're not fast enough, it's going to be old news, right? So some of the news I'm saying today pretty much old news. Then as I mentioned, the deep learning, this day already move on beyond what we already done in vectors, grid, and sequences. And it move on to the variable size and the data with different properties than we see today. And importantly is learning interpretation of graph is a powerful way to uncover hidden things, hidden patterns, and it makes learning inference and planning in AI in general is much easier. So that's why you have to do representation learning. So just to give you some example from our own bodies. So often we think of our own body as the organization of things, organs like brains and heart and other things, limbs and things like that. But at the end of the day, you can see it's a system of multi-layers of abstractions. And at the top level, you can think that it's a network of things, because people say that the body is a single, the whole organization. Organization. It's not a set of things. It's a single things, right? And down at the level, we have the cells, which talk to itself, talk to them among themselves. It becomes the cell networks. And within the cells, we have a lot of things, which are proteins, DNAs, and other molecular things that talk to each other. Right? It is a communicated space. And if anyone work in healthcare, you would see that they would be networks within diseases and symptoms and other things. Right? So that multiple layer of networks. So that the views that's probably a lot of people hear about. It's a view called system medicine. So taking the entire system into account instead of doing one thing at a time. So now to the cell levels, we have a lot of graphs. You see today is a spring thing is a protein, and little thing here is maybe other protein or drugs talking to each other. So it's a graph by itself. The protein is a string, but at the end of the day, after it folds into 3D graphs, so we have to talk about graph instead of strings. And traditionally, people about like 20 years ago, there was a popular topic. It's called the kernel, graph kernels. Right? Anyone working on SVM by the time probably know the graph kernels, and it was super popular. But these days, in the last few years, people start talking about something else, which is deep learning for graph implementation instead of kernels. So that's a new thing in the sense that it's on the last few years, but it's not very new because it's already there, right? So down the level of the chemistry, because we have the biology, we have system, we have the biology, and we have chemistries. It's a level of the single molecules. And a molecule is actually the graph of atoms, right? And the atom talk to each other in the it's called bonding, right? So how it bonds, how it talk to each other, and what property come up out of the bondings are the subjects of the field called quantum chemistries, right? And pretty much it's about modeling the graphs in 3Ds. and with electrical and chemical properties. And we can do a lot of things. We can predict the molecular properties, and then let's say what drugs does in our bodies, what energies that we need to form molecules. We can talk about the molecule-molecule interactions. For example, like water molecules, they actually talk to each other. It's not separate molecules. And then we can talk about reactions between molecules to make new molecules. And we can talk about how to make molecules or make drugs out of the simpler drugs, similar properties, right? And then even down level, lower than the chemistry level, we have the material science. Then we have other things with like we studied about crystal structures, which is pretty much the graph, repeat the graph indefinitely, right? So we can use the graph structure to study the properties and exploring the space, how to design the new structures, right? Everyone heard about something like graphite, for example, is one of the big news in physics for the last few years, but pretty much it's the infinite graphs of the regular structures. Right, so more closely related to what most people do here, in computer vision. So most people today still think computer vision as a bunch of images, and video is a series image, right? Organized in grid structures. But by itself, grid is a graph, right? It's very regular graphs. But then that very low level view of visions. This day we have a system that does object detection very well, relation detection very well, and then what's next, right? So the natural question, natural thinking is that what's next definitely is a graph of objects and graph with relations, right? So here the example here is a video, and then we can think that we can build a graph of object and reasons in the graph over time, and it become a long recurrent graphs over time. And that's the subject of a lot of research for the last few years in computer vision. And this one, and pretty much published in ECCV last year. And this year, that CBPR paper being accepted, you can see a lot of graph works in this field. So you can see that the field is moving on fast. So for some people who are not in vision but still using graph, is one of the topics of quite hot in the last 5 years or so. It's a knowledge graph. So you can see here that a knowledge graph is a graph of a chiplet where we have the objects, we have the two objects with head and tail and have the relation in between, right? So one of the most important questions is that if the relation between the two entities are not there in the graphs, and are they related at all? So that's the question being asked a lot. And then also, because the knowledge graph is very incomplete, then how do you complete it, right? So that is one very interesting problem, and it's one of the, I will show how we do it in this field in the next few minutes. So that's a bit of motivations, a bit long, but then I move to more technical part of it. So the first topic is embedding, right? So probably you heard about embedding every single day is this day. So started about 7 years ago. There was a very simple model, very simple, I have to say. Skipgram, it looked cool, but it's super simple. It's called, it was published 7 years ago. And what it does is, okay, I have the words in the sentence, and my job is just to predict the neighboring words. And why it can do so? It is because our language are highly structured, right? It talk about unstructured, but it's actually very structured. So in a sense, it's a lot of statistics in the sentence, and in a sense, we can predict the next word given the current words, right? So what it does is that, okay, here's the current words at position t. I'm gonna predict a few words around the time t. So normally the window of time is about like a 3 or 5, right? Just because a long distance is very hard to predict. And then by thinking like that, we formulate a probability of predicting the next the neighbor word given the current words using the Boltzmann distributions. It's quite simple. And then this is pretty much measuring the similarities between the two words, the neighboring words. And by doing so, we formulate a loss function, try to, this one is a reverse loss function, try to maximize these quantities. And then by doing so, we achieve something called word embeddings, which is pretty much a vector representation of word. Word itself is discrete, symbolic, but vector itself it's distributed and continuous. There are also a couple of tricks to improve the speed because the sum over here is sum over the all possible words, which normally is about 10,000 or 100,000 words, which every single step is very expensive. So people employ a lot of other tricks to improve the speed. And this day is super fast. So you can download the Word2Vex package and run. It's super fast. Right. So so given that things in the sentences and people talk ask what we can do with the graph, right? So naturally we can do exactly the same thing with graph because the concept of neighbors are already there, right? Concept of nodes it's already there. Concept of neighbors are already there, and it does nothing. It's just okay. For each of the node, I would take a random walks around its node, and then I do the skip grammar of it, right? Just because in graph, the concept of neighbor is quite, you can have direct neighbors, but if you expand the neighbors to the few hops, it expands exponentially. It's very expensive. So people do random walks to make things easier, right? So that's very simple concept. And it does well, right? So it was 5 years ago, so it's not a news anymore, right? And then 2 years later, people did a similar thing, improve a few things a bit, and exactly the same thing. Then improve from the first order to second order random walks, and almost exactly the same thing. Improve a few bits on the exploration of the neighbor space, and improving the speed of the explorations, and then call the model the Node2Vex. So you can see that it's a Node2Vex as opposed to Word2Vex, and then you can think of the other thing actually like edge2Vex. Instead of embedding the nodes, you can embed the edge. And then when you're happy with the edge, you can embed the subgraphs. Right? So there's a lot of work actually on subgraphs and graph motifs embedding in the recent years. So you can think of thing naturally expanded, but the concept almost the same, right? So you can see that there are many different fields, but when you think like graph thinking, you can see that a lot of fields are super related. They are not different at all, right? So you don't need to claim them. I'm only do computer vision. I don't need to claim. I only do NLPs or other things, data mining or anything. So if you think graphs, pretty much you can do all the different fields at the same time, provided that you know how to convert things into graphs, right? Which is the hard part. But then after that, it's pretty much graph theories. So I'm moving to the next one. It's more interesting than embedding because at the end of the day, after you do embedding, what do you do, right? You have vector representation of things, but what do you do, right? And how do you do it more systematically rather than a few ad hoc things like people did in the past? And there are many algorithms, but they all fall into the same thing, which is called message passing. It's pretty much about sending the message from node to node or edge to edge or subgraph to subgraphs. So, so here, one of our works we did 2 years ago, published on TripleAI. So it's about sending messages between nodes. So we have the X here, the original node, which each node has the features. So we think that how do we get the information from the nodes that far away from the nodes that we have? So, so if we do random walks like people did in the past, it's going to be expensive, right? So what we figure out that it must be easier just to do layer by layers. So for each step, we just send to neighbors. And by nature of the iterative process, we can reach the far node in the graph in a few steps, right? So anyone working on graph and social theory probably heard about the keyword 6 degrees of separations. Right? Anyone heard about that? Right. So pretty much what I say that you pick any two random people in the world, and the path from you to that person is only six people in between. Like you can pick anyone from the president to the secretary generals in the United Nations. It's pretty much very powerful concept. And it say that things are actually related. It's not that far away, right? And then we can do a few step message passing to reach that person, right? Even though the original message is not the same anymore, but some information is going to be preserved, right? So what we do is that we do exactly the same, and improving the node embedding in between, because each step is going to refine itself. And then at the end of the day, we have the node implementation of each node, and then you can do prediction with that. So why here's the outcome of that. So that is a node classifications, right? Or a node labeling. But then if you want to do the graph labeling itself, it's quite simple. We just take average or any attention model on top of it, right? It's not that difficult to convert a set of vector into single vectors. There are a lot of algorithms out there, right? So we can do either nodes classification or S classifications. So for those who study, like I think 15 years ago, you did conditional random fields, especially for those in NLPs and computer visions. This is a kind of random field unroll over time, because in random fields, you got to send message to either message passing or other algorithm anyway. And if you unroll over time, it becomes this kind of form, right? So the beauty of this is that you have the best of the world in both. You have long-range dependencies and have the learning immediately, and the complexity is linear, right? It's not that difficult because it's depending on the number of direct neighbors and number of steps, right? You have the best of the both world, deep learning and structure prediction in random field. Right, and then we did another work. We figured out that in some problems, the direct talking between even neighbor itself is expensive, because let's say in problems that we work here is the drug repositions. So each drug can talk to something 20,000 other proteins, and it becomes very expensive. So each atom gonna send 20,000 messages to other protein. It's gonna be very, very expensive, right? So what we did is that we figured out that okay. That is going to be low rank in somehow, and then in between it can factor the message. Instead of sending every single pair of messages, we send the message to the intermediate node, which it doesn't exist. We call factors, and the number of factors is quite small. It can limit to 10 or 20 depending on your computation budget, and that works very well. And it's quite robust because the number of parameters is small, number of computation steps is small. You have the best in both. So we call factor message, and that paper is called attentional multi-level learning over graphs, and it was just published in machine learning journals early this year. And a couple of years ago, we figured out that okay, sending message randomly doesn't work so very well, or it's not the best, because we're gonna think that okay, you want to talk to neighbors, but the neighbor may not like you, right? So you gotta talk selectively, even though you know person, but you don't just send email to that person. So that concept popular by the time in deep learning is called attention model. It's pretty much nothing but setting a weight to the message that you send. And maybe you can do the hard attention, saying that okay, if the weight is too small, I'm not gonna talk to that person. And that's exactly what we do in our real life. We're not gonna talk to everyone, right? We talk to only selected people at a selected time. And the concept we got in general forms, but we didn't publish it. It was published the year afterwards in iClear by one of the famous groups, Joshua Benjo from Montreal. But the idea is pretty much the same. And then now become the popular topics, right? Right, so that was the graph message passing. So I'm gonna move on to the next topic, which are also very, very, very interesting this day, and then even more interesting in recent years. So that's called the graph dynamics. So what it means is that the graph that I've been talking about is a static graph. It doesn't change itself, right? So you got the graph and you got the graphs. And even the attention is still a single graph. It doesn't change the structures, right? It's no hard structure changing over time. Then we know that by nature of the research, by nature of the field evolving itself, we have static and then have dynamics, right? So for those who are doing a PhD, for example, if you select a topic, so you know what to look for because the static's been done, right? So it's time for the dynamics. So what it does is there's a lot of a couple of topics that raise from the concept dynamics. One of the concepts that we did just got accepted in KDE this year is the graph morphisms. So what it does is that I have the graphs, but then over time it changed the edge, right? The node is the same, right? It's called morphism. It changed the form of itself. It changed the shape itself, but the content doesn't change much, right? So it's called morphism, and it works well in the problem called chemical reactions, right? So in chemical reaction, we have a number of a number of molecules, and each molecule is a graph. But then the set of graph is also in the graph with these connected components, right? And then reaction in pure math it's a process of bonding and rebonding. So we break some bonding and introduce new bondings and become a new molecules, right? So the concept here that it has the same graphs, same nodes, same set of nodes, but the changing embedding, a changing edge and changing bonding. So it belongs to the class of math called graph morphisms. And what we did was that a little bit complicated, but what we did is that we employ exactly the same message passing techniques that we did before, with or without attention, depending on the flavors. Then we update the edge dynamically over time, and arrive at the arrangement of edge that does the job that we wanted to, right? So how do that in the process? It's complicated, and the process we don't know the entire process, but we can assume that exists a process, and then use reinforcement to figure it out, right? You can have other tricks, but reinforcement is one of the most generic tricks to figure out that what is the sequence of transformations, and what are the products, and what the cost of it, and how to improve the qualities, right? By defining appropriate reward functions. So we got the algorithm is called graph transformation policies. For those who work on reinforcement learning policy is as a function to map from the state to the actions. So what we do, right? Given what we see. So what we do here is that what nodes or what edge to chain basically, and the state is pretty much the current arrangement of edge. And we also use message passing to do so to estimate the state. So that is the problem of graph morphisms. Another getting more and more important problem is the graph recurrence. So morphism is one of the recurrence, but it's not verified at the time step because you can imagine the time step. But in graph recurrence, we have the time step and we don't have to imagine anymore. So we have the graph and it changes over time, right? And also the nature of nodes and nature of edge connection changes over time. The nature of the state of itself changes over time. So we have the recurrent of it, right? So probably you heard about recurrent in the sense that we have the vectors changing over time. It's called recurrent neural networks that people heard about. And then and you can imagine that the graph also has the same properties. Vector is pretty much a single node, and graph is a set of nodes with connections, right? Right. So so there are a lot of challenges. So one of that is that the graph is going to be very big over time, because if you keep all the time steps, and let's say 1,000 steps, and if each graph is 1,000 nodes, and you're gonna have a million nodes, and if the connection is complex and become a billion or 10 billion easily, right? It becomes very, very, very complex, and it poses a challenge to the storage in the memory for computations, and how to do message passing, how to do the computations, how to update things over time. Not difficult, not easy at all. But then a lot of tricks that we can approximate and make it possible. So here's one example that people already did 2 years ago in computer visions. So pretty much they figured out that, okay, for each image you can convert into the graphs, because this day object detection and probably node edge detections or relation detections are quite advanced, especially the object detections. And then with that we can build the graphs, and with the graph we can build the global structure of the videos over time, and we can do a lot of things, right? So yeah, okay. Here the one work that it's called structure INN, published I think a couple of years ago. So what they did is that for nodes they have the human object poses, they estimate the feature of that. For the edge, which is connection between node and the node to itself over time. So we have the orientation and other connection like overlappings between the regions and the sharing features or proximities and other things that you can think of. And then you can, after you have the graph, you can do a lot of things. One of the things that people did was that labeling of nodes, which is, in vision is pretty much about action classification and other other things. So the people have the SD graph is stand for the spatial temporal graphs. So they also do the message passings. They can do a lot of other things with that. So they can detect activities, they can check skeletons, and also predict the driving directions and things, given the graph structures. So you can see that it's very powerful concepts. And if done right, it's going to be improve the accuracies, because in the process of building graphs, you already remove a lot of noises, right? A lot of things that we don't need. And then a graph will become very clean and small compared to the pixel we have to store. It needs to store only a few features at a time, right? And it can build graph and then the hierarchy graphs and many other things, so that it can do a lot of things at the same time. CBPR this year we got our papers using the same concepts. And this one is for unsupervised learning, so we don't have labels, but we wish to do some like anomaly detection of the trajectory of the persons, right? So what we do is that we build a graph of that person and the scenes around it. Here I saw only two nodes. Each of them here is a node, and each here is a step. And then in the process, we have the quite complex dynamic graphs over time. Then we're gonna do the message passing between nodes. And we don't send the message directly for each time step. We send the message of the next time steps, because it's just to make the things non-recurrent, non-repeated, or non-cyclic, right? So and then so you can do the back propagations in learning. So in the process, we can you do two things. One is just try to reconstruct the graph itself. Another one is to predict the graph itself in the future, right? So in doing so, we learn the representation of the entire trajectories. We can do a lot of interacting channels with attentions. We can do complex reconstruction or predictions with the mixture density networks at the time. So it gives you the multi-mode representation for each time step. So it makes the representations of scenes much easier and more correct. So that was the works that we published in CBR, going to be published in CBR this year. All right, so I'm going to move to the one of the most exciting topics that we are working on right now, and it's super difficult. It's called graph generations. So the previous topic is pretty much that you give a graph, static or not, it's still the same graph. You don't need to make the graph, right? You just have the graph and do it. Right? And now the question is, can you make the graph itself? And why doing so? Because in a lot of problem, we need to generate graph. For example, in drug design, for example, a drug is pretty much a graph of molecules. So you have to generate the graph itself from the thing you want to, properties you want to have. But then the problem is there's a lot of challenges because the space of graph itself, it's super large, it's exponential. It's you can think about NP-hard or some other thing like that. In short, we can't do it. We can't explore the space just by exploring. So we have to be really smart on it. One of the challenges is that it doesn't have any regular structure at all, right? In image you have the grid. We know that it's just a square, right? In language we know the sequence. At the end of the day, it's still a sequence, right? But graph doesn't have a regular structure. It changes. We don't know the number of nodes. We don't know the number of edges. We don't know the connections. So we have to estimate everything at once. And then the other trouble that graph are permutation invariance, right? So we rotate the graph, it's still the same graphs, right? So we're not careful and generate a lot of graphs, generate different versions of the same graphs, right? And make things complicated. So if you want to estimate the probability graph that a lot of people do this day, in like density estimation, then you have to sum over all possible permutation of graph, which is exponential, right? It factorial over the number of nodes and edges. It's very hard. And also the graph is variable in size. You don't know the number of nodes in advance. You don't know the number of edges in advance, right? So a lot of problem, we need two other properties. You want the diversity, because in drug design, you don't want to design the same drugs, same structure, because it's not fun. Or you have the patterns protection now, but right? you want something new, right? It's not easy. And also at the same time, you don't want to go too far. You want the smoothness in the latent space, which means that the graph look different, but the property is the same, right? So almost the same. So it has to be smooth in some sense. You don't want to do the discrete thing, which you don't understand, right? Or the math not ready to deal with the discrete space. There are a lot of generation methods. So you can roughly classify in three groups. One is the random graph model, which is like classical one, like people did like for the last 15 years. Random exponential family or random graph and other things. And the more recently is the deep blended models or with the variational flavors working for the graphs. And then we have the reinforcement in between, because the graph is a discrete structure. So reinforcement is very good to deal with discrete structures. So at the end of the day, if you want to generate a graph, you got to respect the theory, which is pretty much estimating the distribution of graphs. and how to learn from it, and how to generate with the same distribution, which is not easy. It's difficult for the vector itself, and it's more difficult for graph, right? So we're gonna use a few tricks. One is the now classic techniques covariation autoencoders. So pretty much what it does is that I have some hidden things that I think that important for us to when you think about the data, it's some hidden variables, and they're going to generate the data that we see, right? And then, but it's quite complex model because the graph itself it's hard to do. So if we do both, it's going to be very tough. So people figure out a smart way of doing that. Instead of doing both at the same time, I'm going to split this two parts. One is generative models, another one is recognition models. Related but separate, right? So that we can do reconstructions using the two separate models. Right? How and why? How can doing so? There's a trick for that. There's a trick for that. There's a trick called the maximizing the lower bound of the log likelihood. So there's some math in there, but it's not that difficult. You can work it out. So we have a two part. One is a reconstruction part. Another one is Gauss diversion, which is forcing the prior and posterior to be similar, right? So it is different term here, but you get a sense that I'm gonna separate two model. One is a generative model theta here. Another one is a recognition 5 here. They're separate, but estimated through these tricks, right? And I maximize the lower bounds. So another trick that become more and more popular, and people like it a lot because we can justify quite realistic data. You can see a lot of advances recently in computer visions. Right now, a lot of facial image people make, you can't tell the difference between the real or fake image anymore. Right? For other images, it's still difficult, but for facial, it's pretty much done. Right? So I'm just back from the iClear conference, and one of the best people is a high capacity models that generate very realistic, high definition image of figures and things. So the idea is it's very interesting. You have two model. One is the generative model, which is similar to the generative model that I mentioned earlier. Another one is a discriminative model. The job is to say that to tell whether the image or the data is generated is fake or not, right? And by doing so, after it converts, you hope that the data that you generate look exactly the same, have the same statistic as the data that you observe, right? That's the hope. Of course, in the process, is a lot of troubles associated with the adversarial networks. So here's one of the model that proposed, I think, last year. It's called graph VAE. So you can imagine that it's a VAE, which is a variation of autoencoders, and works on graphs, right? The trouble here that the graph itself, it's very hard to model. Instead of image, you will have a single matrix to map from the vector to vectors. But in graph, we have at least two matrix. One is for node embedding, another one is for edge embedding, right? The connectivity between nodes. So we need to model both at the same time, and it's going to be very, very expensive. The result for that is that the current technique cannot deal with a very large graph. So they limit to the small graph, something like in less than 30 nodes. Otherwise, you can't do it because the matrix E and A here is going to be is too big to learn. It's a lot of parameters to learn. I'm not going to the detail of that, but you know the difficulties of modeling the distribution of graph itself, right? And then more recently, I think ICML last year, ICML last year, they figured out a smart way because they figured out that a lot of realistic molecules are quite small and have a structure that it can convert into the tree. Then the tree is called junction tree. It's a trick to convert a graph into a tree, right? And it's called junction tree. And by nature of the tree, you can do the exact message passing, and you can do modeling easily. The detail I'm not going to talk about here because I'm run out of time. But the result is very, very, very impressive. So we can have, when you generate the molecules, you have 100% valid molecules. Whereas the other methods, in vector, in string, you have very, very, very little valid molecule generated. It looks like I'm run out of time, so I'm going to skip this part and move to the last one, which is a graph reasoning, which is bring us close to the AI of the old days. It's the thinking and reasoning was about. So reasoning is by definition, is a way to deduce knowledge, new knowledge from the old knowledge, given some query. Right? You have to have some query, you have to have some knowledge, and then you can deduce a new one that's not already there in the database. So that was entirely the focus of intelligence in the old days. And then they say that, okay, let's do the reasoning, and learning is going to be added later. But in the last 20 years, the reverse happened. We just focus entirely in learning. And if you look at the conference this day in AI, it's pretty much learning focus, and very little in reasoning. But things are changing. I think it's going to be back. So one of the things I wrote, the future of deep learning was that deep learning ought to have to deal with reasoning soon, and it's now happening. Right? So one of the things happening is that it can do the inferred relations, because you have the graph and have to ask questions that is that these two guys related at all, and then that's the new knowledge you have to produce. You say yes or no, right? So last year we published a paper, the idea that it can embed not only the nodes but also the relations, and then it can do the projection of it, and then in the process you have it can predict the missing links between the two entities in the knowledge graph. Right? So it was published in ICOR last year. The more interesting question is that, can you query the graph? Right? So let's say you have graph, it's going to be big, it's going to be like the internet is very big, or a molecule is quite small. Can you query it? Right? By nature of query, you ask any question you like, either in vector form or in natural language form, and you're going to be answer that questions. Right? So it's not easy, but then it's not too difficult too, because actually you can do it. Right? So we propose a model called the graph memories. So we can convert the query into vectors, propose the thing called controller here, and it talk to all the nodes in the networks, update it, force and nodes update over time, and in the process it process query and give the answer. Right? Simple as that. It was quite effective in the drug domains. We haven't tested in other domains, but I'm pretty confident that it's gonna work somehow. So 3 years ago, Google DeepMind actually tested the graph query using the other model, which is not on the graph itself, but then they converted the graph in the series of triplets, and it proven that it can work on even in that implementation, not graph implementation, but it can work on graph reasoning itself. So for example, here they can find the sorted path to the other in the map. Right? So it bring the big news of that. And then they ask another question is that you have the single networks, single graphs, and what are the multiple graphs? Right? So again, you have a set of graph, you don't know the relation, direct relations, but you're going to put together anyway because they know that the occur. Then you can ask a lot of questions out of that, and whether or not you can ask a question that the node of two graph, the separate graph, are they related at all? It's somehow that you can figure it out, because let's say in Facebook, you belong to this group and I belong to other groups. Somehow we are connected because we share a lot of other things, higher order, like we share science, engineering, and other things, right? So that's going to be answer, right? So we propose an extension to the previous model, and it's called the relational dynamics memory networks, and it could answer the question of the multiple graphs at the same time. Right, there's a lot of other ongoing works, future work that we like to do and are doing. So I listed here. So you have time. Yeah, please talk later after this keynote. Okay, for those who are interested in, there are a lot of surveys this year. The reason I said it's not a news anymore is because the survey and paper reviews has come out in the last 2 years. Right, when this thing appear, it's gonna be old news. It's not a new news anymore, right? So be careful with when you say this is new, it's not, because it's already reviews, right? So it means when review already say 100 papers, right? Not less than 100 papers in the last few years, right? So it's not a new news anymore. So for students, please, right? Don't jump after this immediately, because it's going to be old news when you finish, right? Yeah, that's the people that have been working with me. So a few postdoc and a few students. Some student has recently graduated. So thanks to those who prepare the materials. So I gave you the talk today, and some of them even prepared the slides. So I want to thank them. Otherwise, they going to be pissed off. All right. So that's the end of my talk. Thank you very much. And if you're keen to know more about us, yeah, we got the space for you. So welcome. Yes.
Okay, thank you for your talk, Professor Truong Trân. I am very happy to receive the good information from a professor from Australia. I want to talk about a little bit about the research in UIT. We work for UIT. We have a team to do the research. Is heterogeneous information network. I mean, a little bit bigger than graph. Graph embedding is very interesting, and now we have a project about the knowledge graph embedding. And in your talk, I learn a lot. We learn a lot about your knowledge. We want to discuss, as you know, knowledge graph embedding. Knowledge graph is a very big, large-scale graph, I mean. So in your talk, could you please tell us a little bit about the large-scale graph? In Vietnam, we have Hadoop, a distributed computer system, right?
Right.
And we use many computers like master and workers in order to share the load of computing. So in the future, and our graph reasoning is very good because you see we develop a QA system, automatic question answering a knowledge of large scale graph, knowledge graph. And we want to develop a knowledge about Vietnam tourism and embedding a knowledge graph and to support the speeding up the tourism of Vietnam. And I think that you are Vietnamese and you will support us. And anyway, I want you share with us a little bit idea, a little bit experience about how to process large-scale graph. Because graph embedding it takes a long time consumption, So it's our question. And I hope in the future we could drop an email to you and we can exchange the idea now. Thank you so much. I'm very happy when hearing from you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. This is a very great question. It's a very important question, actually. So when we submitted this paper and the reviewer asked exactly question that does it gonna scale? Because we claim that it linear number of nodes, right? Which is true. But then if you have the 100 million nodes, then what can you do, right? So in response to that, thanks to the students, she worked super hard. Within 2 weeks of response, she worked out another version, which we're going to break the graph into pieces, overlapping pieces, and hold the message from other pieces for some times, like a holding buffer, and update it later on, right? So it looked like the bad tricks because it break the big graph into small graphs. But it turned out that the result was surprisingly good. It even better than the original one, right? So I think, and then the X small graph can be stored easily in the RAM and processed. So that's one of the tricks that we did. I don't know why it works better than the original algorithms, but it could be because the graph with the message passing, it can do that. When you hold the message that people send to you, think for a while and come back later. So for some reason, it have the regularization of the learnings. That's what we thought. We don't know the reason, true reason, but what we thought is that it do implicit regularizations. So that's one of the tricks that work for us. I don't have a complete answer to the questions, but that was one of the trick that works. Another one that people be aware of the situation, and that's the result we will do a lot of embedding, which is only node processing with a very local connectivities. Right, so in a single time step, you deal with only few neighbors. Right, you're not going to store entire graph in the RAM. Right, you're going to store in the database, or Hadoop or other distributed structures. So one solution I would suggest is that if you have the cluster structures, then you can break the graph into multiple nodes in the clusters, and process the node independently, and then the message across the nodes. Right. So given our experience, it's gonna work somehow. If the node's not able to store entire structure, probably the other thing in the database, and then probably you can do, because the message passing is very generic, and you can store the old message in memories. If one message is not enough, you store a few messages in the past. It creates a long dependency in histories, and in that process, it would have the retain the distant informations, even though we work on it locally. So that's one of my offer, but I'm pretty sure that other people have answered the questions. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for your very informative presentation. I'm Kha from University of Education, and I have some questions on your presentation. I have 3 questions. So the first one, I'm very interested in the idea to consider a video as a graph. So my first question is, how do we define a graph to demonstrate the moving objects in the video? That's the first question. The second question is about your attention model. So you said that when you use the attention model and you give weights to the neighbors of the nodes, and if the weights are too small, you skip the neighbor. So how do you define the too small number?
Right. So I'm going to answer the first questions. So recently we worked on graph reasoning on video. So on a project we work is called a video question answerings. So one of the hypotheses in science, we already had the hypothesis that graph gonna have, right? A pixel not gonna have very much because it's too detailed. And graph have the high level, and it matches the high level question very well. So the first thing you have to do is to convert the video into graphs. And one of the things that exactly what you asked, and what about moving objects? So there are 2 solutions here. One is that you treat a frame as a graph, separated graph, and then try to connect the frame together with the objects matching somehow. It's going to be expensive because object matching is expensive. So that one solution, very simple solutions. And it helps somehow. In video question answering, it actually helps because we have the other trick to piece the frames together to answer questions. But the other solution we also considering then have not had the result yet, so I can't confirm whether it works or not, is that it builds the actions graph instead of object graphs, right? So object itself is very static, but action is more dynamics, right? So so action can be modeled as a trajectory of things over time. We have the period, each action have the period, have 2 objects, at least 2 objects, and the period happenings. So it deal with the dynamics, object dynamics a bit. The third one is that you use a trajectory of an object as a node, right? And then how to deal with the trajectory, the hard question in computer vision itself. But I'm not going to answer the question because the other methods could do. So when you have the trajectory of nodes, you're going to figure out the S between the trajectories. The complication here is that objects interaction change over time in its life, right? Let's say the 2 cars, right, are going to hit each other, but then it's not going to hit anymore. And the driver diverted the directions. And it had a direct relation by the moment it almost hit each other, but then 1 second later it's not going to talk to each other anymore, right? So how to deal with that? It's not easy question. I don't have a clue for that. I don't have answer for that. But one trick is that if it's like multi-instant learning, whenever at least it will happen once, then you're going to have connected connections. That's kind of instant learning. But then if you're going to do that and have a very dense connected graphs, but then it's okay because the number of trajectory are not very big. If you're not doing like ground tracking, you do like few object tracking, then it's going to be okay. So in short, I don't have a good answer for all, very best answer for those questions, but there are a few tricks that we are trying out, and I think other people are also trying out as well. So yeah, if you're keen, I can update you with the literatures, but I don't have a good answer, very good answer for that. So the other question was attention, right? So how gonna select the good one, the small one, the bad one? I don't have a good answer for that either, but it can compute the probabilities, the accumulated probability and pronouns, and I say the bottom 5% or 10% of the attention width. It's not going to work in the beginning because in the beginning the attentions are very flat, very uniform. Only at the end the learnings it become discriminative, and you know that where the pull out of it. So another trick is that you don't even know, but use reinforcement learning, because reinforcement can deal with discrete actions. Action here is selecting a node to talk to. So that's another trick to deal with that. But I don't have a very theoretically driven answer how to select a node other than some few heuristic. And I think that those heuristics are going to work okay in practice, because weak interaction not going to have directly. It's going to have in long future, but then in the next time step you're going to come back anyway. Right? So So I think empirically in the process it would happen.
It's the coffee break time, so we still much time to discuss about the talk. So please, anyone? You? Do you have a question? No. Okay.
I don't want to keep people away from coffee, so I'll make it very quick. In machine learning, deep learning, it turned out that special purpose hardware like GPUs were of use. Is there some equivalent with processing graph and the math of processing graphs that might be improved with special hardware?
I think it's a great comment. The hardware are for processing tensors. To do with matrix, vector, and tensor, they're going to do well. But then there are another thing that we did also, I think I mentioned here, which is the work that we call the learning deep matrix implementations. It turned out that graph could be represented as a matrix. And with few matrix, it can capture most of the properties of the graphs. So if we turn the graph into matrix, provided it's small size, then the hardware is going to be utilized very well. But right now, I'm not aware of very good hardware for the graph itself. But I'm pretty sure that people are working on that because the graph is going to be, I think, a backbone of the futures. That's one of the reasons why I work on this. And that's one of the reasons why computer science got to this far, because they got a graph theory done very well. So I'm pretty confident that people are working on that. But I don't have a clue right now. So.
Yeah. Okay. So another questions? Because yesterday he said that the hardware and the data are all mature and it's ready for do a lot of things. But yeah, the problem for graph representation.
So I like the comment because the very great question, because deep learning today is pretty much about computational graphs. So you have the input, you have the processing between, you have the entire graph coming out at the end. So the big question is how dynamic computational graph going to be used, right? You don't want to do the paddings of the variable side image a lot of times. You're going to do dynamically over times. And right now, it's going to be done through software like PyTorch and TensorFlow going to be something soon. But then it's through hard software, not hardware yet. But hardware are going to be something important because that's where efficiency is. Right? Yeah.
So I think that is a very big topic, and we have much more to discuss in the coffee break. And once again, thank you very much for the speaker.
Thanks.
The coffee break will last for 30 minutes. So, yeah, okay. After that, we can come back.
Thành viên Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, trường công lập hàng đầu tại Việt Nam. Chuyên đào tạo các ngành về máy tính và công nghệ thông tin. Quy mô lớn nhất về số lượng sinh viên công nghệ thông tin. Cơ sở đào tạo trọng điểm của Việt Nam về ngành an toàn thông tin. Liên tục dẫn đầu trong các cuộc thi cấp quốc gia và quốc tế. Chúng tôi tạo ra điểm giao thoa giữa học và ứng dụng, tìm kiếm những cơ hội mới, chinh phục những thử thách mới. Trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, khởi nguồn chinh phục giấc mơ công nghệ. Thành lập năm 2006, UIT là điểm đến tin cậy cho những sinh viên đam mê công nghệ. Chúng tôi tạo ra bước đệm vững chắc cho tương lai nghề nghiệp của sinh viên. Hàng tỷ đồng học bổng được đầu tư để tạo cơ hội và phát triển những tài năng công nghệ thông tin với mức học phí phù hợp. UIT tạo điều kiện tốt nhất để thu hút nhân tài từ mọi miền theo học và tự tin phát triển tài năng bản thân. Với cơ sở vật chất được đầu tư hiện đại suốt 10 năm, UIT tự tin đảm bảo cho sinh viên môi trường học tập và rèn luyện hiệu quả nhất. Quan tâm đến từng sinh viên, xây dựng cơ sở vật chất có lối đi dành cho sinh viên khuyết tật, vận động hỗ trợ sinh viên có hoàn cảnh khó khăn, luôn quan tâm và lắng nghe các phản hồi của sinh viên. Đội ngũ giảng viên trẻ tốt nghiệp từ các trường đại học hàng đầu trên thế giới về công nghệ thông tin với kinh nghiệm thực tế mới nhất. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế riêng, phù hợp với từng nhóm đối tượng và nhu cầu của sinh viên. Chương trình chính quy, môi trường học tập hiện đại, năng động, giáo trình cập nhật, đáp ứng nhu cầu phát triển công nghệ thông tin trong thời đại toàn cầu hóa. Sinh viên sau khi tốt nghiệp có thể làm việc cho các doanh nghiệp Việt Nam và tập đoàn nước ngoài, hoặc có thể tiếp tục theo học những chương trình sau đại học trong và ngoài nước. Chương trình chất lượng cao, hệ thống cơ sở vật chất hiện đại, tối tân, trung bình 30 sinh viên trên một lớp học. Sinh viên được đào tạo chuyên ngành trong môi trường sử dụng tiếng Anh, không chỉ giỏi về mặt chuyên môn mà còn có cơ hội phát triển nhiều kỹ năng mềm khác, được các doanh nghiệp tập đoàn lớn ưu tiên tuyển dụng. Chương trình tài năng, nơi chắp cánh tài năng cho các sinh viên xuất sắc. Có nhiều cơ hội cho sinh viên nhận học bổng thực tập tốt nghiệp và học sau đại học tại nước ngoài để trở thành những nhà nghiên cứu, giảng viên và chuyên gia giỏi của các ngành công nghệ mũi nhọn. Chương trình tiên tiến, trải nghiệm chương trình đào tạo tiên tiến của Hoa Kỳ tại Việt Nam. Nội dung đào tạo áp dụng hoàn toàn chương trình của các đại học lớn ở nước ngoài như Đại học bang Oklahoma OSU Hoa Kỳ. Sau khi kết thúc 2 năm đầu tại trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin, sinh viên có thể học tiếp tại UIT hoặc chuyển tiếp sang các trường quốc tế khác. Các tín chỉ đã học tại UIT được các trường đại học lớn trên thế giới chấp nhận. Để hòa nhập và tạo ra môi trường nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi học thuật trong khu vực và thế giới, trường xây dựng các chương trình đào tạo chất lượng cao, nâng cao giảng dạy ngoại ngữ và khuyến khích sinh viên học các tiếng nước ngoài như tiếng Anh, tiếng Nhật, tiếng Pháp, tiếng Trung, v.v. Trường đẩy mạnh đào tạo sau đại học với 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ thạc sĩ và 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ tiến sĩ, ngành công nghệ thông tin và khoa học máy tính. UIT cập nhật các chương trình đào tạo theo xu thế mới nhất trên thế giới hiện nay như chuyên ngành an toàn thông tin và thương mại điện tử và các ngành truyền thống khác như công nghệ thông tin, khoa học máy tính, kỹ thuật phần mềm, kỹ thuật máy tính, hệ thống thông tin, truyền thông và mạng máy tính. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế dựa trên tham khảo các tiêu chuẩn kiểm định của Đông Nam Á như AUN và các chương trình đào tạo quốc tế khác nhằm định hướng tất cả các chương trình đào tạo của UIT đạt kiểm định theo tiêu chuẩn của AUN-QA, khu vực Đông Nam Á đến năm 2020.
One of the things that's great about the advanced education program is that all their classes are in English. For people taking the advanced education program at UIT is that they would take advantage of that opportunity to interact with the professor. And that interaction is one of the things that I think makes education special, and we are trying to provide that kind of experience to students. So I want to be able to push students to think about things in ways that they haven't been able to think about them before and do things that they haven't done.
UIT tạo ra môi trường đại học mở mang tính quốc tế, liên kết với nhiều đơn vị trong và ngoài nước như OSU Hoa Kỳ, Songsiu Hàn Quốc, UniSA Úc, RMUTI Thái Lan, HOSE Nhật Bản và các đơn vị khác nhằm thúc đẩy hợp tác quốc tế về đào tạo và nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi giảng viên, trao đổi sinh viên. UIT có quan hệ hợp tác với những doanh nghiệp hàng đầu về công nghệ thông tin trong lĩnh vực cung ứng đầu ra. Liên tiếp đứng đầu trong những cuộc thi về công nghệ thông tin trong nước và quốc tế. UIT tự tin đào tạo và phát triển nhân tài cho tương lai công nghệ của đất nước.
We can hire good engineer from UIT. One, would like to continue to the more closer and stronger relationship with the UIT.
UIT hướng tới một nền giáo dục hiện đại năng động, nơi truyền đạt kiến thức và phát huy tiềm năng của sinh viên. Tạo ra môi trường học tập chuyên nghiệp với những sinh viên bản lĩnh.
Thật may mắn khi được bước đến với trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin. Ở đây chúng em được đào tạo cơ bản trên tất cả các lĩnh vực và từ đó khi ra trường thì chúng em có thể tự đào tạo chuyên sâu hơn nữa về những ngôn ngữ lập trình mới và để giải quyết những bài toán hóc búa hơn. Một khởi đầu hoàn hảo cho niềm đam mê công nghệ thông tin.
Chúng tôi nhận ra tiềm năng của bạn. Chúng tôi đào tạo và thúc đẩy bạn. UIT, trường đại học của tuổi trẻ, tri thức và đam mê. Một nền tảng vững chắc và tin cậy cho tương lai sinh viên. Một môi trường giáo dục tiên tiến và hội nhập. Một thương hiệu khẳng định được vai trò quan trọng trong phát hiện và đào tạo nhân tài công nghệ. Một khởi đầu hoàn hảo cho niềm đam mê công nghệ thông tin và truyền thông. Tin cậy, hội nhập, ứng dụng và đam mê. UIT khởi nguồn chinh phục giấc mơ công nghệ. Thành viên Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, trường công lập hàng đầu tại Việt Nam. Chuyên đào tạo các ngành về máy tính và công nghệ thông tin. Quy mô lớn nhất về số lượng sinh viên công nghệ thông tin. Cơ sở đào tạo trọng điểm của Việt Nam về ngành an toàn thông tin. Liên tục dẫn đầu trong các cuộc thi cấp quốc gia và quốc tế. Chúng tôi tạo ra điểm giao thoa giữa học thuật và ứng dụng, tìm kiếm những cơ hội mới, chinh phục những thử thách mới. Trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh khởi nguồn chinh phục giấc mơ công nghệ. Thành lập năm 2006, UIT là điểm đến tin cậy cho những sinh viên đam mê công nghệ. Chúng tôi tạo ra bước đệm vững chắc cho tương lai nghề nghiệp của sinh viên. Hàng tỷ đồng học bổng được đầu tư để tạo cơ hội và phát triển những tài năng công nghệ thông tin với mức học phí phù hợp. UIT tạo điều kiện tốt nhất để thu hút nhân tài từ mọi miền theo học và tự tin phát triển tài năng bản thân. Với cơ sở vật chất được đầu tư hiện đại suốt 10 năm, UIT tự tin đảm bảo cho sinh viên môi trường học tập và rèn luyện hiệu quả nhất. Quan tâm đến từng sinh viên, xây dựng cơ sở vật chất có lối đi dành cho sinh viên khuyết tật, vận động hỗ trợ sinh viên có hoàn cảnh khó khăn, luôn quan tâm và lắng nghe các phản hồi của sinh viên. Đội ngũ giảng viên trẻ tốt nghiệp từ các trường đại học hàng đầu trên thế giới về công nghệ thông tin với kinh nghiệm thực tế mới nhất. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế riêng, phù hợp với từng nhóm đối tượng và nhu cầu của sinh viên. Chương trình chính quy, môi trường học tập hiện đại năng động, giáo trình cập nhật, đáp ứng nhu cầu phát triển công nghệ thông tin trong thời đại toàn cầu hóa. Sinh viên sau khi tốt nghiệp có thể làm việc cho các doanh nghiệp Việt Nam và tập đoàn nước ngoài, hoặc có thể tiếp tục theo học những chương trình sau đại học trong và ngoài nước. Chương trình chất lượng cao, hệ thống cơ sở vật chất hiện đại, tối tân, trung bình 30 sinh viên trên một lớp học. Sinh viên được đào tạo chuyên ngành trong môi trường sử dụng tiếng Anh, không chỉ giỏi về mặt chuyên môn mà còn có cơ hội phát triển nhiều kỹ năng mềm khác. Được các doanh nghiệp tập đoàn lớn ưu tiên tuyển dụng. Chương trình tài năng, nơi chắp cánh tài năng cho các sinh viên xuất sắc. Có nhiều cơ hội cho sinh viên nhận học bổng thực tập tốt nghiệp và học sau đại học tại nước ngoài để trở thành những nhà nghiên cứu, giảng viên và chuyên gia giỏi của các ngành công nghệ mũi nhọn. Chương trình tiên tiến, trải nghiệm chương trình đào tạo tiên tiến của Hoa Kỳ tại Việt Nam. Nội dung đào tạo áp dụng hoàn toàn chương trình của các đại học lớn ở nước ngoài như Đại học bang Oklahoma OSU Hoa Kỳ. Sau khi kết thúc 2 năm đầu tại trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin, sinh viên có thể học tiếp tại UIT hoặc chuyển tiếp sang các trường quốc tế khác. Các tín chỉ đã học tại UIT được các trường đại học lớn trên thế giới chấp nhận. hòa nhập và tạo ra môi trường nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi học thuật trong khu vực và thế giới. Trường xây dựng các chương trình đào tạo chất lượng cao, nâng cao giảng dạy ngoại ngữ và khuyến khích sinh viên học các tiếng nước ngoài như tiếng Anh, tiếng Nhật, tiếng Pháp, tiếng Trung, v.v. Trường đẩy mạnh đào tạo sau đại học với 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ thạc sĩ và 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ tiến sĩ, ngành công nghệ thông tin và khoa học máy tính. UIT cập nhật các chương trình đào tạo theo xu thế mới nhất trên thế giới hiện nay như chuyên ngành an toàn thông tin và thương mại điện tử và các ngành truyền thống khác như công nghệ thông tin, khoa học máy tính, kỹ thuật phần mềm, kỹ thuật máy tính, hệ thống thông tin, truyền thông và mạng máy tính. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế dựa trên tham khảo các tiêu chuẩn kiểm định của Đông Nam Á như AUN và các chương trình đào tạo quốc tế khác nhằm định hướng tất cả các chương trình đào tạo của UIT đạt kiểm định theo tiêu chuẩn của AUN-QA, khu vực Đông Nam Á đến năm 2020.
One of the things that's great about the advanced education program is that all their classes are in English. For people taking the advanced education program at UIT is that they would take advantage of that opportunity to interact with the professor. And that interaction is one of the things that I think makes education special, and we are trying to provide that kind of experience to students. So I want to be able to push students to think about things in ways that they haven't been able to think about them before and do things that they haven't done.
UIT tạo ra môi trường đại học mở mang tính quốc tế, liên kết với nhiều đơn vị trong và ngoài nước như OSU Hoa Kỳ, Songsil Hàn Quốc, UniSA Úc, RMUTI Thái Lan, HOSE Nhật Bản và các đơn vị khác nhằm thúc đẩy hợp tác quốc tế về đào tạo và nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi giảng viên, trao đổi sinh viên. UIT có quan hệ hợp tác với những doanh nghiệp hàng đầu về công nghệ thông tin trong lĩnh vực cung ứng đầu ra. Liên tiếp đứng đầu trong những cuộc thi về công nghệ thông tin trong nước và quốc tế. UIT tự tin đào tạo và phát triển nhân tài cho tương lai công nghệ của đất nước.
We can hire good engineer from UIT. One, would like to continue to the more closer and stronger relationship with UIT.
UIT hướng tới một nền giáo dục hiện đại năng động, nơi truyền đạt kiến thức và phát huy tiềm năng của sinh viên. Tạo ra môi trường học tập chuyên nghiệp với những sinh viên bản lĩnh.
Thật may mắn khi được bước đến với trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin. Ở đây chúng em được đào tạo cơ bản trên tất cả các lĩnh vực và từ đó khi ra trường thì chúng em có thể tự đào tạo chuyên sâu hơn nữa về những ngôn ngữ lập trình mới và để giải quyết những bài toán hóc búa hơn. Một khởi đầu hoàn hảo cho niềm đam mê công nghệ thông tin.
Chúng tôi nhận ra tiềm năng của bạn. Chúng tôi đào tạo và thúc đẩy bạn. UIT, trường đại học của tuổi trẻ, tri thức và đam mê. Một nền tảng vững chắc và tin cậy cho tương lai sinh viên. Một môi trường giáo dục tiên tiến và hội nhập. Một thương hiệu khẳng định được vai trò quan trọng trong phát hiện và đào tạo nhân tài công nghệ. Một khởi đầu hoàn hảo cho niềm đam mê công nghệ thông tin và truyền thông. Tin cậy, hội nhập, ứng dụng và đam mê. UIT khởi nguồn chinh phục giấc mơ công nghệ. Thành viên Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, trường công lập hàng đầu tại Việt Nam. Chuyên đào tạo các ngành về máy tính và công nghệ thông tin. Quy mô lớn nhất về số lượng sinh viên công nghệ thông tin. Cơ sở đào tạo trọng điểm của Việt Nam về ngành an toàn thông tin. Liên tục dẫn đầu trong các cuộc thi cấp quốc gia và quốc tế. Chúng tôi tạo ra điểm giao thoa giữa học thuật và ứng dụng, tìm kiếm những cơ hội mới, chinh phục những thử thách mới. Trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh khởi nguồn chinh phục giấc mơ công nghệ. Thành lập năm 2006, UIT là điểm đến tin cậy cho những sinh viên đam mê công nghệ. Chúng tôi tạo ra bước đệm vững chắc cho tương lai nghề nghiệp của sinh viên. Hàng tỷ đồng học bổng được đầu tư để tạo cơ hội và phát triển những tài năng công nghệ thông tin với mức học phí phù hợp. UIT tạo điều kiện tốt nhất để thu hút nhân tài từ mọi miền theo học và tự tin phát triển tài năng bản thân. Với cơ sở vật chất được đầu tư hiện đại suốt 10 năm, UIT tự tin đảm bảo cho sinh viên môi trường học tập và rèn luyện hiệu quả nhất. Quan tâm đến từng sinh viên, xây dựng cơ sở vật chất có lối đi dành cho sinh viên khuyết tật, vận động hỗ trợ sinh viên có hoàn cảnh khó khăn, luôn quan tâm và lắng nghe các phản hồi của sinh viên. Đội ngũ giảng viên trẻ tốt nghiệp từ các trường đại học hàng đầu trên thế giới về công nghệ thông tin với kinh nghiệm thực tế mới nhất. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế riêng, phù hợp với từng nhóm đối tượng và nhu cầu của sinh viên. Chương trình chính quy, môi trường học tập hiện đại năng động, giáo trình cập nhật, đáp ứng nhu cầu phát triển công nghệ thông tin trong thời đại toàn cầu hóa. Sinh viên sau khi tốt nghiệp có thể làm việc cho các doanh nghiệp Việt Nam và tập đoàn nước ngoài, hoặc có thể tiếp tục theo học những chương trình sau đại học trong và ngoài nước. Chương trình chất lượng cao, hệ thống cơ sở vật chất hiện đại, tối tân, trung bình 30 sinh viên trên một lớp học. Sinh viên được đào tạo chuyên ngành trong môi trường sử dụng tiếng Anh, không chỉ giỏi về mặt chuyên môn mà còn có cơ hội phát triển nhiều kỹ năng mềm khác, được các doanh nghiệp tập đoàn lớn ưu tiên tuyển dụng. Chương trình tài năng, nơi chắp cánh tài năng cho các sinh viên xuất sắc. Có nhiều cơ hội cho sinh viên nhận học bổng thực tập tốt nghiệp và học sau đại học tại nước ngoài để trở thành những nhà nghiên cứu, giảng viên và chuyên gia giỏi của các ngành công nghệ mũi nhọn. Chương trình tiên tiến, trải nghiệm chương trình đào tạo tiên tiến của Hoa Kỳ tại Việt Nam. Nội dung đào tạo áp dụng hoàn toàn chương trình của các đại học lớn ở nước ngoài như Đại học bang Oklahoma, OSU, Hoa Kỳ. Sau khi kết thúc 2 năm đầu tại trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin, sinh viên có thể học tiếp tại UIT hoặc chuyển tiếp sang các trường quốc tế khác. Các tín chỉ đã học tại UIT được các trường đại học lớn trên thế giới chấp nhận. Để hòa nhập và tạo ra môi trường nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi học thuật trong khu vực và thế giới, trường xây dựng các chương trình đào tạo chất lượng cao, nâng cao giảng dạy ngoại ngữ và khuyến khích sinh viên học các tiếng nước ngoài như tiếng Anh, tiếng Nhật, tiếng Pháp, tiếng Trung, v.v. Trường đẩy mạnh đào tạo sau đại học với 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ thạc sĩ và 2 chương trình đào tạo trình độ tiến sĩ, ngành công nghệ thông tin và khoa học máy tính. UIT cập nhật các chương trình đào tạo theo xu thế mới nhất trên thế giới hiện nay như chuyên ngành an toàn thông tin và thương mại điện tử và các ngành truyền thống khác như công nghệ thông tin, khoa học máy tính, kỹ thuật phần mềm, kỹ thuật máy tính, hệ thống thông tin, truyền thông và mạng máy tính. Các chương trình đào tạo được thiết kế dựa trên tham khảo các tiêu chuẩn kiểm định của Đông Nam Á như AUN và các chương trình đào tạo quốc tế khác nhằm định hướng tất cả các chương trình đào tạo của UIT đạt kiểm định theo tiêu chuẩn của AUN-QA, khu vực Đông Nam Á đến năm 2020.
One of the things that's great about the advanced education program is that all their classes are in English. For people taking the advanced education program at UIT, is that they would take advantage of that opportunity to interact with the professor. And that interaction is one of the things that I think makes education special, and we are trying to provide that kind of experience to students. So I want to be able to push students to think about things in ways that they haven't been able to think about them before and do things that they haven't done.
UIT tạo ra môi trường đại học mở mang tính quốc tế, liên kết với nhiều đơn vị trong và ngoài nước như OSU Hoa Kỳ, Songsil Hàn Quốc, UniSA Úc, RMUTI Thái Lan, HOSE Nhật Bản và các đơn vị khác nhằm thúc đẩy hợp tác quốc tế về đào tạo và nghiên cứu khoa học, trao đổi giảng viên, trao đổi sinh viên. UIT có quan hệ hợp tác với những doanh nghiệp hàng đầu về công nghệ thông tin trong lĩnh vực cung ứng đầu ra. liên tiếp đứng đầu trong những cuộc thi về công nghệ thông tin trong nước và quốc tế. UIT tự tin đào tạo và phát triển nhân tài cho tương lai công nghệ của đất nước.
We can hire good engineer from UIT. One, would like to continue to the more closer and stronger relationship with the UIT.
UIT hướng tới một nền giáo dục hiện đại năng động, nơi truyền đạt kiến thức và phát huy tiềm năng của sinh viên. Tạo ra môi trường học tập chuyên nghiệp với những sinh viên bản lĩnh.
Thật may mắn khi được bước đến với trường Đại học Công nghệ Thông tin.
Thị Hương Giang from Electrical Power University, with the title is Terrible Feature for Resilient Image Watermark. So please.
Hello, Chairman and everyone. I'm Quang Huy Phạm, and I'm a member of a team from Electric Power University. Today, I want to present you our research content, steerable feature for resilient image watermark. This research investigates the potential for using steerable weblet to specify essential image feature on watermark operation. Our research content consists in 5 sections: introduction, previous work, method, evaluation, and conclusion. As you know, the content protection is required where there is speedy expansion of digital technology. There are two main reasons that's why we made this topic. Firstly, image must transmit to intermediate network, so it needs to be securely protection from attack. And secondly, it is about the copyright protection. A commonly method is LSB with a system of machine learning. In frequency domain, there are some methods such as discrete Gaussian transformation, discrete Fourier transformation, and discrete Weyl transformation. And our method used in both frequency and space domain. There are several methods. Other method is such as the fast Fourier transform, log polar mapping, Dirichlet complex weblet transformation. Our research relates to them, but not the same. Now we will derive an equation that relates the process of embedding data to image using given feature. Let intensity the value of the host image at the pixel x will be denoted by ux. Now we embedding the data m into host image to receive watermark image v, which can be scaled by value a and rotated by the operator r theta with the theta angle. Let the feature detection for image be denoted by f. Third, r is the feature of host image, and t is the feature of the watermark image. So the process of embedding and recovering data from host image based on the value of fixture. So it's a challenging problem because scaling and rotating so that hidden data can be lost if R and T are not the same. The formula for the Fourier transform which describes the relationship of host image in frequency domain and space domain. In the formula phi, we use the Fourier transform. It is a 2D transform, 2-dimension transform, and it can be performed. It can be performed by two 1-dimension transform in an independent dimension. At formula 6, mother wavelet S was split into S1 and S2. Seven is a general formula for the mother wavelet. You can see as the formula 8 and 9. It is the formula which was proved by Fourier transform, and it shows that the stable after the attacking by scaling and rotating. In this approach, we propose to use the complex Fourier transform. So I will change the label to F. There are many types of mother wavelets, but here we use 4 famous mother wavelets. They are Siemens-Lee, Mayer, Papadakis, and Xenon. And these are the nominalized formula. You can see, for example, the formula 12. The mother wavelet S born to wavelet omega 1 and omega 2 in 2 dimensions. Now I will show you our diagram. The left diagram is the encoding and the right is the decoding. We have the host image U with the RGB color model. At the zero step, we convert the RGB to the SSV and we separate the VRL into frequency domain. Then we apply the Fourier transform to it, then change it back to the spatial domain. We will receive the fixture A, steerable fixture A of the host image. Now we embedding the data M into blue channel of host image under the gradient of the fixture R. So we receive new watermark image V. Before decoding, we perform 2 attacks by rotate or scale it. Then now we do with the same method to receive the steerable fixture T of the watermark image. From it, we will receive the embedded data. T and R is the key to receive the embedded data. This is our algorithm. And one special thing here is we use the unknown transform to make the attack hardly. We use it into the embedded data. We use the benchmark image database C80 2000 with 2000 image. We perform that for steerable wavelet for X image with the same parameter scale A with value 0.512 and rotation degree with value 0, 30, 60, 90 and 180 degree. The test is done when we are using wavelets of Simonsely, Meyer, Papadakis and Xenon for each host image. This is example for our result. 2A is display a host image taken from the database, and B show an example of the embedding data. C is a steerable feature after we transform it by Ries transform in the frequency domain, then change it back to the spacer domain. And now we see the watermark image looks still the same with host image. Now we try to rotate it by 90 degree, and after that we recover the embedded data in the figure F. There are some other example. We take host image from same database and the recovering data. We use the following parameter to determine the image invisibility and the stability of watermark. We use MSE, SAD, PS and R and SSIM to show how much in average watermark is similar to the host image, and to evaluate the similar of the embedded data and recover data, we use the DSC, precision, recall, F measure, and sensitivity. You can see table 1 shows the invisibility of watermark by type of steerable wavelet. And I noticed that on wavelet type support well. They support well in invisibility of watermark. And you can see there are little distinction by PS and R and time of the MAPR method. Table 2 demonstrates the stability of watermark in scaling by DSC. And we can see Simon series is the best method. With table 3, the stability of watermark in rotation by DSC. With the rotation from 0 to 90, the Simon series still is the best method, but with the 180 degree, the MAPR better. There are some methods have present. For example, FFT were used with database with 5 images. The invisibility is not available. And with the stability in scaling, the number of detect watermark is 70%. And in stability in rotation, number of detect watermark is 87%. However, we still have some failure when trying to recover data. For example, with the zero image, when try to rotation 90 degree or rotation 60 degree, we recover wrong embedded data. In conclusion, our paper mainly apply risk transform. In the theory part, we use the method combining the frequency domain and the spacing domain. We focus the feature after U transform, U-React transform as the key to encoding and decoding. In our experimental part, we use 2000 images and our result so that the effective of our method before the attacking like rotate, scaling and rotation. And this is our reference. And thanks for watching.
Image and what kind of information could we match together according to the design of the weighting.
We still find why we some image in our database had the fail, but we still yes. Still find what feature make them fail. With the other method, we can compare with them because they use the other database, and it's hard to compare because their method use too little image, like I showed you. Yeah, and we will try to find what feature make the fail when we still rotate or scale it. But a big part of the database had work effect. Thank you.
Now, so in the slide number 11, so for the proposed framework, so you said that you have to convert the host image to blue channel, right? This one. So I still don't understand why we have to use only blue channel of the host image here.
We can use both ZRB channel, but here we want the simple. So with the black white image, so we just use the blue channel.
I continue with the chair questions. The chair question is about why use the blue channel instead of the DRB channels. My question is why you don't choose the gray images instead of the blue image?
Database, so we just try to run with blue channel for the quick.
No, gray images contain one dimension, and blue images also contain one dimension. It's the same dimensions. It's not too more complexity. So, because it's normally is the situations. I saw that many researchers use the gray images in the simple situations. Why don't you convert the image into the gray space?
Sorry,
the special thing about the blue channel.
Yeah, it is because of the simple of the blue channel.
Okay.
Thank you. And we
So
can talk after the conference.
So I would like to invite the second paper of the
Thank
section.
you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim. I'm from University of Alberta, and I'm a business student. So it's my pleasure today to share with you some of my work. The topic of my presentation today is the semi-auto restorations of ultrasound and CBCT for the tooth and periodontiums a feasibility study. So this is the outline of my talk. So we first start with the introduction about the dental anatomy of the tooth. We know the tooth play an important role in the proper speech and mastications. So it had 3 layers. It's enamel outside, inside is dentin and pulp. The tooth attached to the jaw by the supported tissue, so-called the periodontiums. It has 4 components. It's the gum or gingiva, alveolar bone, cementum, which connect the tooth with the alveolar bone, and the periodontal ligament. So this is an important landmark for the dentist. It's called the CEJ, or the cemento enamel junctions. It's the junction between the enamel and the cemento. Malocclusion is known as the crowding and misalignment of the teeth. It is difficult to remove the plaque in these crowded areas. Therefore, the increase in the bacterial level can cause the gum inflammations and loss of the alveolar bone. The chronic inflammations can lead to the loss of the teeth. So to fix malocclusion, the orthodontist need to do the cone beam CT to see the alveolar bone level. As you can see. So CBCT is like using the cone beam X-ray instead of the fan beam to acquire the data and present it in the 3D volume. And the user can see it in any cross-sections. For example, this is a sagittal plane that's showing the maxillary or the upper jaw, and the mandibulars or the lower jaw. So far, this is the only way to see the alveolar bone level non-invasively at the lateral side. However, this is not recommended because have high radiation dose and the high cost. So another approaching that has been studying is ultrasound. So ultrasound uses the echo of the longitudinal mechanical wave, about 20 kilohertz, carry the information about the locations and the strength of the interface to create the image of the target. I just have a short video, just explain to you how
the heart of most
ultrasound
ultrasound systems is a device called a transducer, which uses an array of piezoelectric crystals. A piezoelectric crystal vibrates when an electric signal is applied, producing high-frequency sound pressure waves, which we call ultrasound. More importantly, this type of crystal can also work in reverse. It can produce electrical signals when it detects high-frequency sound pressure waves. When a transducer directs ultrasound waves into the body, they pass right through the skin and into the internal anatomy. As the waves encounter tissues with different characteristics and densities, they produce echoes that reflect back to the piezoelectric crystal. This happens more than 1,000 times a second. Returning echoes are converted to electric signals, which a computer converts into points of brightness on the image, corresponding to the anatomic position and the strength of the reflecting echoes. A medical transducer contains a large array of crystals, which allow it to make a series of image lines that, together, form a complete image frame, called a sonogram.
Yeah, so that is the explain how the ultrasound works. So this is a non-invasive, no radiations, and is portable and cheap as well. So research has shown a strong agreement between the ultrasound and the CBCT in measuring the alveolar bone level. So far, we know the CBCT is provide high visualization for the hard tissue, for example, the bone or the tooth, but is provide the low visualization for the soft tissues. Like in contrast, the ultrasound have provide very good visualization for the soft tissue, but it's not good for the hard tissue. So that is the motivations for my project. That's why I want to register these 2 models so that we can get the high visualization for both hard and soft tissues. And so far, this work is work with the 2D images. So as I mentioned before, from the CBCT, we can see, from the 3D volume, we can see, choose a cross sections, and from then we can see 2D images. It's any angle that we like. For example, this is show the lower jaw of incisor. For the ultrasound scan, we scan on the human. This one is we scan on the upper center incisor and lower center incisors. So this figure shows the position of the transducer on top of the teeth and the gum. So we can see both the teeth portions and the periodontal portions. So to register these CBCT and ultrasound images, I decided to choose CBCT as the fixed point set and ultrasound as the moving points. So for CBCT, first I will select the region of interest and then denoise it. From that, I will detect the surface of the tooth and the bone. And from then, we can get the fixed point set. For ultrasound imaging, it's different a little bit for the pre-processing. First, I will segment it and then enhance the contrast. And I also detect the surface of the tooth and the bone. And from then, we can get the moving point sets. From these 2 point sets, we can register using the coherent point drift. And then finally, we can evaluate using the landmark. So talk a little bit about the method, coherent point drift. This considered this alignment of 2 point sets at the probability density estimation problems. It will fix the Gaussian mixtures model centroids of the moving point set to the fixed second point set by maximizing the likelihood. The advantage of this method is that it preserves the topological structure of the point set because it makes the centroid move coherently as a loop. And the second advantage is that it has the uniform distributions added to account for the noise and outliner. So this is the equation for the density functions. So this is the account for the noise outliner that I mentioned before. And the weight of the uniform distribution is, we can select, it's normally ranging from 0 to 1. So in our case, I choose 0.1. So I think in this, because we choose, we detect the tooth and the bone surface. So in that case, it's the richest restorations. So in this case, the coherence constraints can impose by reparameterizations of the GMM centroids location with the richest parameters and revise a closed form solution of the maximization step of the so-called expectation maximizations, EM. So this algorithm used for optimizations of the likelihood functions. It has 2 steps. The E step to compute the probability and the M step to update the transformations. So this is the maximizing likelihood, or equivalently it can say we minimize the negative log likelihood function E. So now I want to present one example. So the top is the CBCT images of the lower incisor, okay? And this is the for the ultrasound images. So first, for the CBCT image, I use the low pass filter to denoise the Gaussian noise, white noise, and after that, like I searching for the maximum density difference so that I can detect the surface of the tooth and the alveolar bone. And after that, I will remove some outlier in the CBCT using the curve fitting. For ultrasound images, you can see here is it's not very clear if somebody like it's not as clear as the CBCT. So the way we process is different too. So first, we want to remove this artifact. So by segmentations. After that, you see when segment this one, I want to detect the curve, the surface of the bone and the tooth by finding the maximum intensity pixel. And after that, when I have this one, some cases we have some outliner here. So to remove this one, I using the polynomial curve fitting so that I just keep the one in here and remove this outlier. Sorry.
Could you orient us to what is enamel and what is dentine and what is gum and what is the ligament? I can't quite see.
Yeah. So for the ultrasound, we see the enamel, but it cannot penetrate through the dentine. So this is the enamel. Okay, and this is the alveolar bone. This is the gingiva here. So in this case, this one is for the kid. It's for the human. So the alveolar bone is very thin. You can see here. This is the alveolar bone crest here, and this lower than is the cementum. But because it's not penetrate through the alveolar bone, so that's why you cannot see below the alveolar bone.
Are we seeing the gingival tissue there as well?
Yeah. This is the gingiva. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome. So a problem that I have is because the CBCT we can image the whole teeth, but for the ultrasound we just image a portion of the teeth and the gum. So it's a non-equal region of interest. So in order to solve this problem, first I convert the pixel size, the pixel of the image in pixel into the millimeter, and then I choose origins. In this case, I choose the CEJs because it's a fixed landmark. For example, this one for the CBC is the CEJ here. So you see the CBC, we don't see the gingiva, right? We just see the alveolar bone here. Okay. For the ultrasound, this is the CEJ. Okay. So after choosing these two landmarks, I will limit the upper and lower boundary of the bone registrations. I just want, let's say, I just want to choose from here plus X millimeter and from here plus Y millimeter, so that I will have the same region of interest for both. So this is just show an example of the CBD registrations after you have two bone sets. So you see the red one is the CBCT bone set, and the blue one is the ultrasound bone set. It's been moving at a root so that it will fix this two. So after registrations, in order to evaluate the accuracy of the method, I just use the landmark. So we pick 3 sets of landmark. One is the CJ, one is the alveolar bone crest, and one is the highest, the top of the alveolar bone crest. So this one is picked by the expert. In this case, a dentist. So they pick from the ultrasound and from the CBCT. Okay, and after registrations, I will calculate the distance between these pairs. For example, the distance from A in ultrasound and A in CBCT. How big the distance is that? So this is the summarize of the data analysis. So we have 2 radars. The radar 1 measures twice. This is the mean error, and this is the standard deviation and the standard error of the mean here. So In order to calculate the agreement between rater and intra-rater, I use the BA plot. So this is for the intra-rater agreement. This line is show the mean difference between two measurements of the rater one. And this is so the limit, the upper limit and lower limit. So the limit of agreement for the intra-rater in this case is around minus 0.2 up to 3 millimeters. For the inter-rater agreement, is they compare the difference between rater 1 and rater 2. So this in this case, the agreement is better. It's from 0.2 minus 0.2 to 0.2 millimeter. So far, this method has registered successful the ultrasound to CBCT in human data, and by control the region of interest, is small, robust, and flexible. The mean errors between CBCT and ultrasound registrations is below 0.5 millimeters, so it's acceptable in clinical practice. The limitation of this project is the sample size is quite small, and because it's we have to decide which parameter, like decide the value of parameters, so it's quite depending on the parameters. So the future work is that we can use the deep machine learning with the larger sample size. I would like to thank you from my university and the funding from Amata Innovative Technology Futures, and just some photos about my university. And the Alberta is the bank, and this is the Aurora. So I'm thank you very much for your listening, and I would love to hear your questions.
Thank you, speaker, for very interesting presentation and nice picture also. So please give a question and comment for speaker. Yes, please.
So your long-term goal is to remove the scan, the X-ray scan, right, and just use ultrasound. So is the hard part with just ultrasound to find the landmarks?
There are two directions. The first one is we know CBCT is not good, but this is CBCT is useful for the heart tissue. So for adult, we can use CBCT and we can use ultrasound as a supporter, so we can see both. But for the adolescent or children, we want to use just ultrasound. Yeah, answer your questions.
So how will you then, without a scan for reference, how will you find the landmarks of interest with just ultrasound?
It's a good question. Basically, is the ultrasound is different to the other imaging. It depends on the radar experience. So the radar needs to be trained, and we need to compare. We do the direct measurements, like let's say we open the gum, and then we make a knot, so that we measure the distance from the CJ to the knot, and then we compare with the ultrasound images to verify that. That is the in vitro study. For human, it's because when we have more experience, so we can see it. And for the CJs, it's like the junction between the enamel and the cementum, so it will have the change in the directions. So from then, we can detect the CEJ.
With just ultrasound?
Just ultrasound,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. So other questions, please. Yeah.
How about the exercise of the area in the area of the research? How about the exercise of the area? Reason of interest?
Yes.
But actually, how is actual immediate?
Oh, so you mean how I define upper and lower limit?
I mean, how about the size of...
Or how I decide the size?
No, I mean the size, the area of the actual size in the patent when you want to register the area of...
Yeah, normally because the ultrasound is smaller than the simplicity, it will be depends on ultrasound. Like we have the size of the ultrasound, so from then we divide the size.
Because we say your result is 0.5 millimeter error, so I want to compare with how is percentage of the result. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I have no question. So, so for example, the image, from here, the width is around 30 millimeter. And this is around, I believe, 10 millimeter. Is your question?
Oh, yeah, it's right. And as I understand, so we try to use a Gaussian mixture model in this kind of approach. It means based on the you average the density matching between the targets and the source.
Yes.
Something like this.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to use some kind of another technique like TPS or thin some very famous.
Yeah, because basically this is not my main project. This is the support, like, and I'm not in the computer science, so I haven't tried a lot. I come in this conference, so I want to learn from you, so that I can improve my method.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you. So if you don't have any more questions, so let's thank again our speaker.
Thank you.
So I would like to invite the author of the third paper in this section, Mr. Harwin Mendoza. So please.
Okay, good morning everyone. I am Harwin Mendoza from Technological Institute of the Philippines. So the research that I'll be presenting for today is entitled Modifying Bit-Level Data Compression Scheme Based on Adaptive Hamming Code Data Compression Algorithm. So I would like to start by discussing how Hamming code works. So Hamming code is used as single-bit error correcting code or 2 bits error detection code. So let's use these 4 bits of data as an example. To insert a Hamming code, we need to insert 3 parity bits in 3 different locations, making it a total of 7 bits. The parity bits will be placed in the first position, second position, and fourth position respectively. To know the first parity bit, we need to check the position of 1, 3, and 5, 1, 3, 5, and 7 in color blue. So if the total number of ones is an even number, then put 0. Otherwise, we need to put 1. So in this case, we have 2 ones, so we put 0. So we will do the same with the second parity. We will check bits 2, 3, 6, and 7. In this case, it is also even, so we put 0. And for the position 4, we only have 1 ones, which is an odd number. So we put 1. So the 7 data plus parity bits is called a code word. Actually, this is being used in security to check normally in transferring packets. Okay, now the base algorithm which this study was based is the research by Al-Bahadili. He used Hamming code in compressing text in bit level. It's lossless, meaning it allows the original data to be reconstructed during the decompression. It's bit level, since the text needs to be converted first to binary before
compression and decompression. It's asymmetric because the compression speed is different from the decompression. In the Hamming code that I explained a while ago, 3 parity bits were added to 4 data bits to make it secure. In this compression, it is being done in reverse. So a 7-bit valid code word can be reduced to 4 bits by removing the parity bits. However, not all 7 bits code words are valid code words. In the 7-bit code words, there are 128 possible combinations since we have 7 bits. Only 16 are valid, while 112 are not valid. So what's the problem? Not all 16 valid code words can be utilized. There are 3 categories for valid code words. We have popular, rare, and not used. There is a small percent that the text to be compressed may have valid code words. It doesn't also guarantee that they are the most frequent ones. Now here's an enhanced version of the HCDC algorithm. It's called HCDC-K, or Adaptive HCDC. So the scheme consists of 6 steps. Here are the steps. So step 1 is to calculate the character frequencies. It will count the occurrence of each character. Step 2 is to arrange the characters according to their frequencies to know the most number of characters and the least number of characters. So step 3 is to convert each character to 7 bits binary. So we are using ASCII, okay, for the 7 bits binary. Now, this is the enhancement of the algorithm. To retain the uniqueness of the algorithm, which is the use of Hamming code, a mapping is done with the 16 most frequent characters. They will be mapped with 16 valid code words. In that way, we can utilize the use of valid code words. After that, in the step 5, compression will start. If the character is a valid code word, it will be reduced to 4 bits. Otherwise, it will be retained to 7 bits. The code words will need to be preceded by 1 bit. This is to ensure that the compressed code words will be back to their original state during the compression. This is our way to bring back the original state of the text. So after that, we repeat steps 2 to 5 until inflation is detected. Later, I'll explain what inflation is. Okay, so what's the problem with HCDCK? So there are cases wherein if the frequency of characters have no significant difference, instead of compressing or deflating the text, it will result to inflation. So inflation is a scenario wherein data becomes bigger instead of becoming smaller. So imagine you're trying to compress a file using WinRAR, and then instead of making it smaller, it becomes bigger. So instead of, for example, we have 15 MB, instead of having probably 8 or 7 MB, we will have probably 20 or 25. It doesn't serve the purpose. So inflation happens because of the additional 1 bit that we add on every code word for decompression. Okay, so how will HCDCK encounter inflation? This is an example. So for example, we have 8 characters or 8 code words. So after creating the dictionary, we've determined that we have 2 valid code words and 6 non-valid. So after doing the compression, instead of having a smaller result, we had a bigger result. In this case, it inflated to additional 2 bits instead of deflating. So here's the proposed enhancement. So the step 4 of the HCDCK will be modified. The focus is to modify how the non-valid code words are being handled. So instead of preceding the non-valid code word with 1, it will be substituted with an unused 7-bit block that starts with 1. And this way, inflation will be avoided since non-valid code words will no longer inflate. So this is a sample scenario. So for example, we have one non-valid code word. So using HEDCK, since it's non-valid, we will add or we will precede the code word with additional 1. So it will inflate. So using our proposed enhancement, we will use these unused code words that starts with 1, and then we will do a mapping. So in this case, instead of having 8 bits, we will stick with 7 bits, therefore avoiding inflation. So this is our scenario later, but instead of having an inflation, we reduce the 56 bits to 52. Okay, so we achieve our goal in making the data small. Okay, so here is the modified step 4. So instead of adding preceding 1 for the non-valid, we change it to substitute any non-valid code words with an unused 7-bit block that starts with 0. So to evaluate the performance, we use two metrics. So first is the measurement of the compression ratio. So that is being achieved by dividing uncompressed size to the compressed size. And we also have space savings. Actually, they are being represented in other forms, but actually they are showing the same meaning. So here's the result of the simulation. So I used the Coca corpus. I used some data from Coca corpus, and using adaptive HEDC, we got an average of 1.23 compression ratio and 18.59 in space savings. While using modified adaptive HEDC, we had 1.355 and 26.08 in space savings. Therefore, we have a difference of 7.50 in space savings. That is actually 40% increase in space savings. Now, if you will ask if there is a standard that to measure if this is acceptable, actually I've tried to read some literature and I didn't find one. So I believe since it's 40% increase, provided that we improve the algorithm, I think this is already a good result. Now, the modified HEDCK is most effective in random text. So when do we normally use random text? In encrypting text. Normally, when we encrypt text, it results to random text. So we can use this algorithm in compressing encrypted data. Okay? So in this case, using the adaptive HEDC, instead of compressing, it inflates to negative 4.66. So it becomes bigger. While using the modified adaptive HEDC, we had 5.79 in space savings. So we have 10% in difference. So what is the possible application in the future? So systems that transfer text data through a wired or wireless network with a very low internet connectivity, or for a resource-constrained environment. Okay? So future work, it can be combined with other existing compression algorithms like LZ77 or LZW, just like deflate. Deflate is a combination of two compression algorithms, Huffman coding and LZ77. So it is also recommended to test the current research with larger data sets or corpora so that it can be measured more. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, speaker. So we have a time for several questions, please.
The application of moving text at the level of ASCII encoding, is that actually the ideal target? Wouldn't something like UTF-8 or something like, so can this method be expanded to like a 256?
Actually, we focus on ASCII because in the application of Hamming code, it is limited to 7 code words. That is why we focus on not the extended ASCII, but the ASCII. So the limit is to convert from binary 0 or ASCII 0 to 127 only. But I think we can explore later on the possibility of using a bigger size of Hamming code. I think there is a bigger size for that. So that is also a possibility.
And would that be more practical, you think? More useful?
I think, yes, that would be an advantage. Although I just focus on the previous research works wherein it focused on using a 7-bit code word. But I think that is also a great idea to use a bigger size for the conversion of binary.
So I have one question concerning about the system evaluation. So it seems that you try 2 different data sets. So the first one is COCA and the second one is random text, right?
Yes.
And it seems that for the random text, the performance of the system reduced. So do you have could you give any explanation about the correlation between the data set and also the behavior of the system? Yeah.
Because normally when we use random text, we're having text or occurrence of characters with no significant difference. For example, you're converting text with 20A, 20B, 20C, 21D, and so on. So there are no significant difference in numbers. Normally, if that happens, you will have a lot of non-valid code words. In that case, since we only have 16 valid code words and we have 112 non-valid, it would be the number of non-valid would be bigger than the valid code words. So this is the time where the modified algorithm is most effective because it targets the non-valid code words instead of the valid one. So I think that's the advantage of the algorithm, for it is mostly effective when handling random text.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? No? Yeah? Thank our speaker.
Okay, thank you so much.
So the next paper will be presented by Mr. Lê Trung Hiếu.
Thành viên Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, trường công lập hàng đầu tại Việt Nam. Chuyên đào tạo các ngành về máy tính và công nghệ thông tin. Quy mô lớn nhất về số lượng sinh viên công nghệ thông tin. Cơ sở đào tạo trọng điểm của Việt Nam về ngành an toàn thông tin. Liên tục dẫn đầu trong các cuộc thi cấp quốc gia và quốc tế. Chúng tôi tạo ra điểm giao thoa giữa học thuật và ứng dụng, tìm kiếm những cơ hội mới.
Good morning, everybody. I am Lê Trung Hiếu. I am from Đại Nam University and Mika. Today I talk about my paper with my partner Trần Thanh Hải and Cường Phạm. The title is the Internet of Things by hand gesture using wearable sensor for human-machine interaction. Nowadays, technology products have become popular, bring there many benefits and support to make to us make the world area. And there are some smart products used by hand, such as smart watch. It can be anything, anywhere and anytime. There have been a number of research papers on hand gesture interaction and human getting a lot of successful sensor-based hand gesture cognition is a good abstract today. This paper we are researching and building the machine of human gesture recognition technology through accelerometer and gyroscope used in RCP and MPU 6050. My presentation is divided into 5 parts. Number 1, introduction. Number 2, related work. Then I will look at propose the set of hand gesture using wearable sensor. Methods for dynamic hand gesture recognition. And finally, experiment and conclusion. I will start with some general information about introduction. Hand gesture is a fiction mean for creating useful and highly adaptive interface between human and machine. Hand gesture could be static, posture, or dynamic gesture, and observed by ambient or wearable sensor. You can look at the view 1 HCI by stick gesture ambient, and view 2 HCI by dynamic gesture by ambient kinetic sensor. And number video 3, we use wearable sensor. Dynamic is more nature using wearable sensor has more portability than ambient sensor due to its low cost, lightweight, and more importantly, scalability. Related work. There are 2 points. The number 1 point is main apparatus for action recognition use wearable sensor. Hand grab feature by apparatus extract filter from tempo or frequency domain and apply a classifier. For example, KN, SVM, run flat in a paper, for example, number 11, 24, and 26. And deep learning by abstract anterior CNN by technical recognize a filter extractor. It's time consuming, black book, and then difficult to understand. Motivation. Number 1, the data set lack of wearable data set of hand gesture for HCI. For example, paper number 5, 18, and 20. Methodology role of accelerometer and gyroscope and their combination are not deeply investigated. For example, number 3. The purpose of our research: firstly, we provide a new data set. Secondly, we investigated the effectiveness of feature. Finally, we have multiple sensing data, we propose a simple yet effective left fusion model for improving recognition accuracy. the first set of gesture, we provide a new data set comprising of 12 gesture for controlling home appliance, discriminator in movement and direction. You look at picture one, illustration of 12 hand gesture set design in our work. After we equipment and environment set up in a similar room with home appliance. Subject warm IoT equipment on heat with and perform 12 gesture continuously and connect data XAEAZA and XGGZE at 100 Hz. Subject 11 member, 7 member and 7 male and 4 female. Figure choosing of a subject where sensor in a environment for data equipment. And fig number 3, data equipment and transfer to the main computer. Annotation, we use ELAN tool for data annotation. The data and 11 subject and 6 value at 100 Hz and 21,000 and 420 instance of 12 resident class and 1 uncanal class. We also define an uncanal class with a gesture that do not belong to any class in the gesture set. Decision build up hand gesture instance per class publicly available son. Then I will look at method for gesture recognition. The first input data accelerometer and gyroscope. The second pre-processing. Accessing data my content noise. We do a noise remove for canceling noise from sensing data. Number 3, picture extraction give a time series of spot data. We adjust feature from sensing data to build the description for hand gesture. Class physical, the feature vector build for the previous will be input to the class field for hand gesture recognition. The first, I speak I talk about pre-processing. We fuse the value to one multitude value and in the following we will check feature from the multitude time series. Secondly, noise removing by 5-point mean filter on signal multitude. You look at picture 1, I say ACC multitude before filter and figure 2, ACC multitude after filter. Filter signal multitude will be input to next processing. We use 10 feature for extraction. The feature is applied in some paper. For example, paper number 7 and number 24 and 25. After extraction, evaluate fusion for a coming sample of data. The accelerometer by classifier result a list of probably PA1, PA2 to PAM, and gyroscope by classifier result a list of probably PA, PZ1, PZ2, and PZM. To mark PAE and PZE. Where M is number of class or of lecture in the dataset. For late fusion, we design using we maximal value of probably give by classifier. Next experiment, we use K4 with K of 10 of the 10. The dataset is divided into 10 non-overlap subset of the same size. We evaluate the contribution of each type of data isolation and gyroscope, then their late combination. And different size window, size 96 and 112 and 128. We use 3 sliding window because it optimal local feature in order to give high accuracy for dataset. The lack of sliding window has impact on the recognized performed in the paper number 24. Look at the table 1, classification accuracy using accelerometer, and number 2, classification accuracy using gyroscope data, and number 3, table 3, classification accuracy by combining both acceleration and gyroscope data. Look at table 1, 2, 3. We recognize that random forest classifier is the best accuracy. Table 1 using acceleration data with random forest and size window 112 with 18.19%. And table 2 using gyroscope data with 83.185%. And table 3 by combining both acceleration and gyroscope data with random forest with 87.61%. This is confusion matrix slide window for 128 by combining both acceleration and gyroscope data of random forest. Concluding, we provide a new data set of research community in human hand gesture recognition using low-code IoT wearable device embedded with accelerometer and gyroscope sensor. Secondly, investigation of a set of picture with different classifier. Point one, Freud give the best research and lead fusion that combine gyro and that accelerometer sensor improve the accuracy of gesture classification from 81 to 87. Future work investigate deep learning and try different methods to combine heterogeneous sensing data, deploy practical application for human-machine interaction. Thank you for reference and acknowledgement. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. So it's time for question and answer. Please. Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. So right now you use the wearable sensor for activity recognition, right? As I remember that some paper they complain that when we use the wearable sensor for kind of for doing some activity, maybe it will make the user uncomfortable. So right now they try to use some other solution. For example, using image, and right now they have a very famous library like OpenBose that can recognize the skeleton and the yawn of a skeleton, even for the hand or the whole body, very accurate. So did you try to compare with this kind of methods?
The data set hand gesture simple and easy for user to perform.
Mm-hmm. So you use the wearable sensor because it's simple and easy for user, right? Actually, you say perform the method or perform
For
the
example, for start window, I stand wearable for on power.
You mean power?
For example.
Actually, if you use so for perform the activity, if you use the camera, you don't need to wear any wearable device, so you don't need to lose any power.
Right. I can answer your question, but I will answer to in my next time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So long discussion between the using ambient sensor and wearable sensor. So I think it takes time, and we have lunch after. So if you have more question concerning about this work, so actually, yeah.
So thank you. A very simple question is, if you put your wearable device in a different location, maybe found maybe in the arm, how's the performance of your classifier? Is that workable? So that's my questions.
It inherited from perform evaluation for pattern recognize problem.
I think the question is that for the wearable sensor, so it depends on the activities you want to collect. So you may use you may wear at different position. So in this case, you wear at the wrist position, right? And why do you use another position? Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe because you are interested in 12 activity, and with only one position is enough already for collecting the movement of the activity. Yeah. No, maybe.
Maybe. Thank you for question.
Okay. Thank you, our speaker. So I'm very happy that we will have the final presentation of this lesson. So the Mr. Ruth
Thành viên
Rola
Đại học
from
Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ
Philippines,
Chí
right?
Minh, trường công lập
Please,
hàng đầu
yeah.
tại Việt Nam. Chuyên đào tạo các ngành về máy tính và công nghệ thông tin. Quy mô lớn nhất về số lượng sinh viên công nghệ thông tin. Cơ sở đào tạo trọng điểm của Việt Nam về ngành an toàn thông tin. Liên tục dẫn đầu trong các cuộc
Xin chào. Did I pronounce it right? A pleasant day to each and everyone. Firstly, on behalf of my fellow Filipino, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to the host university, UIT, for the warm hospitality, to the organizers, to the screening committee, for giving us the chance to be here. It's our first time in Vietnam, and it's so great. Your country is so great. It's beautiful. We're looking forward of going back here. Thank you, keynote speakers. You have great inputs. Thank you very much. Allow me to add another one. You're fortunate people in Vietnam. You have great government, I believe. Okay. My name is Jude Rola. I'm from Cebu City, Philippines. My co-authors are Dr. Santa Romana, Dr. Feliz Coso of the same university, Cebu Institute of Technology University. And the fourth author is Dr. Lopez from the Philippine Carbo Center, VSU Leyte, Philippines. Our paper is entitled Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average, or ARIMA, Prognostic Application to Bull Services for Resource Usage Optimization. Now, what is a bull service? Okay, this is not all about the cows. It's all about carabos. Okay, bull service is the natural mating by a purebred carabao with native breedable carabos or crossbred breedable carabos, or hybrid. Okay. In the Philippines, one of the sources of milk and meat, animal products, is a carabao. It's not only a good source of meat and milk, but also a source of draft power and hide. When you say draft power, it means their ability to extend assistance to the farmers in doing agricultural tasks. Hide means animal skin. Okay. Now, one of the government agencies that is responsible in the program implementation of the propagation of animals in the Philippines is the Philippine Carbo Center. Okay? It was founded in 1992 by virtue of the Republic Act 7307. It became functional in 1993. It gears towards better nutrition. Of course, we have the milk and the meat. Higher levels of income. Improve general well-being of the overwhelming sector or the rural farming families by what? Through the conservation, propagation, the production, and promotion of water buffalo or carabao. But by the way, carabao is also known as water buffalo. The Philippine Carbo Center has 13 regional centers spread across the country, one of which is located at Visayas State University, located in Leyte, part of Region 8, and PCC VSU, as one of the 13 regional centers in the Philippines, provides services to 6 provinces. One of a few of its services are the Bull Loan Program, artificial insemination, training for farmers, and genetic improvement. Now, let's go back to bull service. Again, bull service is the natural mating by a purebred dairy type male carabao, or also known technically as carbull or bull. It is under the program, Bull Loan Program, in which bulls are loaned out or released to the community to qualified farmers, and these farmers facilitate in the natural mating process. For obvious reason, to propagate or for animal production, because the PCC believe that the more carbos will be produced, the more animal products will be produced also, and that would affect the economy. Now, in the past, in any organization, an organization set targets or objectives, right? And this target is used in the implementation of projects, right? Now, in the past, PCC VSU uses averaging of previous few years and a little tweaking of by adding few services or by subtracting a few services in their target setting. So this target value of the number of bolt services would be their guide in the implementation of their projects. Now, in year 2015, PCC VSU targeted 341 bull services, but then the actual accomplishment is 540. Is it good or bad? Anyone? Okay, there's a short of target of 36.85%. In 2016, there is also short of target percentage of 20.27. One of my co-authors, which is the director of PCC VSU, believes that the bigger the target would be better because more farmers will be benefited. Okay, so this is our motivation to look for alternative in target setting by using forecasting, using ARIMA. This study then aimed to implement bull services predictive analytics to enhance bull services target setting capability of PCC VSU using ARIMA. Why ARIMA? Because it is one of the more advanced forecasting time series forecasting models, known for its high interpretability, realistic confidence intervals, and biased forecast, of course with the use of historical data. Now, another compelling reason why we decided ARIMA is that we, researchers, we conducted a pre-selection process. We tested ARIMA. We tested also simple exponential smoothing. We tried regression. We tried halt winters. Using the testing data, we found out that among the four, it's ARIMA is the most appropriate method. Employing ARIMA forecasting in target setting can assist in formulating livestock development plan in the genetic improvement program of PCC VSU, necessary to uplift the Philippine carbo industry. ARIMA carried out in 3 stages. The first one is identification. That includes data preparation, identification of potential models, then followed by estimation and diagnostic checking. So later, you'll be able to see the ARIMA model that was generated by this, in this study. So ARIMA basically has 3 parameters, ARIMA model, namely the PDQ. P means the number of autoregressive terms, D number of differencing, and Q is the number of lagged forecast errors in the prediction equation. We use the Box-Jenkins or ARIMA modeling approach. So we have phase 1 identification, phase 2 estimation and testing, and the last one is the application, the forecasting. We use the following performance measures: root mean squared error, mean absolute error, and mean absolute percentage error. For our testing data, we use the data in year, the number of bull services, the number of natural matings from year 2002 to 2014. And then we use the data in year 2015 to 2017 as our holdout sample data or testing data. So we have here our quarterly data. So we've got first quarter of 2002, second quarter of 2002, and the last quarter of 2014. The figure shows the time series plot of bull services. It's not stationary. It needs to be normalized. So we perform logarithmic transformation, log 10. Okay. After that, we perform the first order differencing to make the data time series stationary. So ARIMA model selection. In the figure, As you can see there, ACF, PACF, or also known as autocorrelation function, and partial autocorrelation function, there are small negative correlations in the autocorrelations function. Small negative correlations, as can be seen on lags 1 and 11, but still do not interfere to proceed to further differencing. On the other hand, for PACF, the partial correlogram depicts a bit of crossover to the significance limit at lag 1, negative correlation, and another at lag 3. We use the RStudio function auto.arima, then that ARIMA model was generated. So a number of models, potential models, was generated, but then this particular model was chosen because it got the least value of AIC. What is AIC? AIC stands for Akaike Information Criterion. Okay, so that measure is used to test the goodness and the simplicity of fit of the model. So that's why ARIMA 111 was selected for the specific training data that we used. And then the figure presents a zero-order cutoff of residual ACF and residual PACF. In this case, the residual series is a white noise series, generally, and the valuable information were duly obtained. At this stage, it can be deduced that the model, okay, is generally viable in forecasting. Okay, again, we use the performance measures to check the model. Okay, the results said that the training data set got a MAPR, or mean absolute percentage error, of 11.88, while the testing data set, which uses, the testing phase uses the data in 2015 to 2017, got a 3.31% MAPR. Now, according to Lewis, a value of MAPR that is less than 10% is a good development model. So we tested to forecast using the model. We forecasted 2015 to 2017. As you can see here, the blue line represents the forecasted or fitted values, while the red one is the actual. Okay. Moreover, okay, as you can see here, we have a comparison between the target and the ARIMA forecast using our ARIMA model. Okay. The target is 341 for 2015, then the forecast is 427.16. You may be wondering there, a while ago, the training uses the quarterly data, but now it becomes, this is the accumulation from the 4 quarters. It's accumulated because usually an agency targets or set its value for a particular year, for the succeeding year. As you can see here, the forecast is closer to 540, which is the actual. For 2016, same. The forecast by ARIMA is closer to the actual, 439. But a different case in 2017, may be affected by another factor. Based on the results, generally, the forecast using ARIMA model is better than the target method used by the center. It can surely help in the annual target setting of bull services, where possible number of bulls to be dispersed or loaned out to different parts of the region can be determined. The more the number of bulls is dispersed, the more the number of breedable carabos can avail the service, leading to an increased calving in outcome. When you see calving, it's giving birth of young carabos. So increased calving, so the more babies. Increased calving ensures higher animal products in the future. So the model can help in optimizing not just the utilization of bulls, but also the manpower. This is also the forecast for the next 12 quarters, 2019 to 2021. So for 2019 first quarter, it's 2.03 in lag 10. converted to anti-lag, it's 104.32. This is a forecast using a confidence level of 95%. This study concretely fortifies that ARIMA times series forecasting is not just applicable to economics, to industry, to military, but also very applicable to animal agriculture. So the development, the model development is good based on the MAPR values developed by Lewis. Forecasted values are better than the center's target. Recommendation, prognostic application to predict calf or young carbo gender is recommended. And also, the utilization of deep learning in time series forecasting is also recommended. Gum on. Thank you very much.
So do you have question or comment for the author?
Yes, sir?
Okay. So I heard several research work about the future direction is to employ deep learning. But actually, I'm wondering about the data because as I know, the number of data you use to model or to build the model
yes, sir.
is not so much. So
okay.
How do you collect more data?
Yes, sir. I understand, sir. Actually, we are still on the process of collecting other data, sir, that is related to bull services. And it's ongoing because that's very interesting, sir. Yeah, I'm really beginning to love data science, data analytics. Yeah, this is our first exploration. Thank you very much. Other questions?
So I have one.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So for the estimation model, so sometimes you can estimate with the bigger number, and sometimes we have lower number of actual information. So in this case, I would wonder which is the impact. So in this case, we prefer to estimate with the number greater than actual or the number lower.
Pardon, ma'am? Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. So actually, somehow.
Sorry, ma'am. I have a problem in
no, it's
my
okay,
ear.
yeah. Because sometimes the model can estimate the number which is greater than actual information.
Okay.
And sometimes it's lower. That's one is lower.
Yeah.
And I wonder what is the impact we would like to have the model which always estimates the greater number or lower.
Yes.
Yeah. The impact to the economies of the country.
Yeah. Actually, with this study, we're just very positive. We look into the positive side, which is if the ARIMA model would forecast a bigger number, then we take it as a challenge, a positive, positively. If in case it would forecast lower, then I believe it's the job of the agency, part of our strategy, to evaluate if it's a valid forecast. Anyway, this is not final yet. This would be subjected for more discussion with the Philippine Carbo Center. Okay.
Yeah, thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any more question and comment? No? So let's thank our speaker again.
Yes. Thank you.
So I would like to close our section. So I would like to thank all speakers of this section and also audience for comment and questions. Many thanks. So for the lunch and coffee breaks, so the coffee break will be served until 1 p.m. So please enjoy.
Hello. So the next section, we have a presentation from the Saigon High-Tech Park. I would like to introduce Ms. Lee from Saigon High-Tech Park Incubation Center, Ms. Vân Anh from New Energy Nexus, and they present about incubation program support for startups. So please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving us a chance to introduce about incubation programs for startups and for universities. Today, we will introduce two parts. First, incubation program from Saigon High-Tech Park Incubation Center, and the second, smart energies incubation program for smart energies like smart home or solar, something like that. And about the smart energy, Ms. Vân and will introduce some information about that. Yes, I will, because this is maybe the time, lunch time, so I will have short information. Saigon High-Tech Park Incubation Centers is a not-for-profit organization. We under the board of management of Saigon High-Tech Parks, and we have 12 years experience in support technology startup to help them overcome the first stage with lower risk and grow faster. We focus on 4 fields. First, IT and telecommunication. The second, energy and automation. The third, biotechnologies. And the fourth, new materials like nanotechnologies. Our program will focus on 6 main programs. The first, incubation program. The second, we focus on demo days. In demo days, every year we organize maybe 4 events to collect and have startup present before investor like Espera, Visas, VNG, Vina Capitals or something like that. We have mentor network. We set up a lot of experts from technologies, economists, investors, or intellectual property to support startups to help them commercialize their products. We have communities program like this event, which organize a lot of innovation program to help a startup or a student knows about entrepreneurship. Yes. We have some commercialization programs. Every year we connect with like Mekong Deltas or Big Corp to help them enter technology solution of startup in enterprise. And every year we organize some startup competition to collect some good projects enter our program. This is incubation pilots. Our incubation program, we have 1 to 3 years, and we have a startup in the evaluation, R&D, sell the products, and like call for investments or registers, become investors in Saigon High-Tech Park. Some our support services like infrastructures, experts, products, markets, or procedures, especially in IB's visitors. This is some first. Until now, we support more than 50 projects in technologies. And you can see that we focus a lot in engineering and automation. This is some our incubators. You can see that this is about VSRS, about ITs, and they converse investment maybe more than $2 million. Gần nhà, this is a super app. They have a lot of function like for transport or food or something like that, and there is first conference investment more than $1 million. This is some latest about laser device or me test about 3D printers. Yes. This is some pictures about our incubators. This is the gamble for cameras and their markets in Hong Kong and Hollywood in US. Me test about 3D printers, yes. This is a laser device. Every year we organize IoT organic competition and we collect maybe from 5 to 10 projects enter our program. This is some pictures about competition, and we have a sponsor from Arizona University to have some device in makerspace to have startup maybe complete their prototypes. Yeah. This is some device in our makerspace. This is some event we support for staff. And the new buildings in Q5 this year. And so this is short information about Saigon High-Tech Parks. And now Ms. Vân Anh will introduce some about the Smart Energy Incubation Program. And this year we focus a lot in smart energy. And thank you so much. Sorry for our English in not good.
Hello? So good morning, everyone. My name is Vân Anh. I'm from New Energy Nexus. So it's my pleasure to be here today to present to you about our program. So we are New Energy Nexus, and we are an incubation and acceleration program supporting energy entrepreneurs on smart energy innovation. So we are a global network of, like, you see, we are active in the US, our headquarters based in San Francisco, and we have the legacy of California Clean Energy Fund, but right now we are rebranding to New Energy Nexus because we are expanding to other markets. And we have a program here in Southeast Asia, New Energy Nexus, focus on like supporting countries like Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam to advance clean energy for a future clean energy economy. So you can see here, like, growing demand, growing population in Southeast Asia, creating a lot of opportunities for the energy industry, and globally, and also in Vietnam here as well, we can see that there's a transition from, you know, fossil fuel, the use of traditional energy, to a more like clean energy, solar energy, wind energy, and other energy industries. We really like growing business opportunities here. And I'm sorry for you guys, because I know that it's like an academic exchange program, and I'm talking too much about business, too much about, like, you know, like the application of like new solutions, technology solutions, but into the energy sector. But it's our mandate to support, and I hope that you guys, some of you here today, will be interested in our program. So what is our program about? So we, like in different markets, we have different support for energy entrepreneur, from launch, accelerate, fund, and pilot. In Vietnam right now, we just started our partnership with Saigon High-Tech Park Incubation Center, and we are now with the launch and accelerate program. So what it's about, so we are going to organize the first smart energy hackathon in Vietnam. And I'll introduce it later, but it's one of the ways that we want to kickstart the ecosystem of energy entrepreneurs here. We want to invite energy professionals, we want to invite IT professionals, coders, and other like experts to join our program and to, you know, build digital solutions in the energy sector. And then we have Accelerate. We try to support program. We provide experts, we provide like workshops, and try to connect like any good business idea to the investment, right? And in other markets right now, in Indonesia, we have like seed fund that we provide funding for the startup that we incubated as well. And Right now in Vietnam, it's still early stage, but I hope that we can develop something similar in the future. So here is the categories of smart energies that we support. And we, just some examples, right? But the main idea is that we support like non-fossil fuels, so there's no oil and gas, we only, like no coal, we only support clean energy and storage, smart grid, energy efficiency, energy management, business innovation, electric vehicle, or like the use of IoT, digitalization, and blockchain for the energy sector. Right? So here are some examples of smart energy startups in the world. And you can see that it can start from generation, from grid, from storage, from platform, transport platform, and it can serve customers from residential customers to commercial and industrial customers. And the way that we support it, we want to build an ecosystem. You see New Energy Nexus here, we want to bring people, we want to bring expertise, we want to bring the energy expert, professional, like IT professional, IT expert to come to our program and try to come up with like new ideas, new solutions in the energy sectors. So that's why we're here today. We are interested to collaborate with university like you guys and try to bring, the application of the research of the technology innovation into the use that serve, like people here. And what is our program about? We have like community building. Right now, what we are trying to do, we create a network. We come here to speak and try to like gain like certain interest from any of you that want to work in the energy sectors. And we're going to have the hackathon, bootcamp, and then in like July and August this year, we're going to start the incubation program, and as Ms. Liu already mentioned, right? And we are really serious here, right? We want to incubate at least 6 startups on smart energy in Vietnam by this year. And here's some program that we support globally, trying to connect like startup with like big companies, utilities, and try to use like find the ways that like startup can find the business opportunities with like big players in the energy market. And you can see here we have like 17 deals like with 1.6 million US dollar. Yeah, so I think Ms. Lee already mentioned, so don't need to talk much about this. Yeah, so here is the hackathon that we organized in Bangkok. So we have like 80 coders, product designers, and smart energy experts to come like for like 24 hours and try to like work on the challenge that we provided on the energy, smart energy sectors. I just want to show you the video about this hackathon.
At the edge of the third energy revolution. People are going to create things which are actually going to make a difference in the world. We are at the edge of the third energy revolution. People are going to create things which are actually going to make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Smart Energy Hackathon in Bangkok. You guys are leaders of the world, agents of change that's going to be solving some of Southeast Asia's energy challenges.
Southeast Asia is really a turning point for the energy transition.
Climate change will most likely be decided in Southeast Asia. You guys are managers and makers, you're artists, you're programmers, developers.
This hackathon is significant because it's the first of its kind to focus both on the digital aspect of energy as well as renewable energy. Our goal here today is to create the next generation of energy tech startups.
We are expecting something big to be won over this weekend here in this room.
To cooperate, to collaborate in the spirit of innovation for energy.
We have 17 teams. Some of the teams were actually formed on the spot, and it's very exciting to see people collaborating. They never seen each other before in their life, but now they're working together.
You've got high people here, you've got foreign people here, you've got guys, you've got girls, you've got younger people, older people. There's just such a variety of ideas, and I think that there's just so much energy in the room because of that.
Just being in a team that has the skill sets of, the technical side, the solar side, the coding side, we're in a really interesting time. There are lots and lots of things to do out there.
The ideas that some of the teams have come up with to address these problems is really fantastic. Most of the teams stayed overnight after a very long day. Seeing them after 18 hours of coding,
We overcome that and we keep moving on. smart, experienced people joining together to build all the ideas, and they're all passionate about what they're doing.
All right, guys, it's noon time. You guys just finished a 29-hour hackathon. Give yourself a round of applause, yeah?
We're Team SolarPi.
We are Core.
Our solution is Energiada, e-hand web-based application.
We are your personal assistant to get your home powered by solar.
How energy saving can create money.
Somewhere inside all of us is the power to change the world.
So please come to be a hero like me. Thank you.
Thrilled to share the winners. Solar Hero! Come on up!
Harambe!
Solar Monkey!
The winner, Solar Pie!
This event is beyond my expectations.
I would like to encourage all young energy entrepreneurs, don't be afraid, get into this space. There's so many opportunities in Southeast Asia to innovate.
You have an idea and you just do it. Smart Energy Hackathon, it's only the beginning.
All right, so that's it, right? So we are going to do something very similar but different in Vietnam, the first smart energy hackathon in Vietnam. And I think like our partner here, Saigon High-Tech Park Incubation Center, will like introduce you more later and send you more like information about our website registration process. But we would have like similar challenge on solar rooftop energy efficiency and maybe wind energy as well. And it's gonna be a very, very exciting event, I expect. Right, so the winner of the Bangkok Hackathon is Solar Hero, and that use like certain like technologies to have like assist like the use of solar rooftop in Bangkok, and that actually like the successful team who won the hackathon in Bangkok, this company, it becomes a company and it was acquired by a utility in Thailand, right? So that's a successful case for us. And then here is some like incubation, like some startup that we incubated in Thailand. I'm not sure whether I have enough time to talk more, but here in Indonesia we have like similar startup as well. So that's a long list, right? But basically, what is it about, right? So it is about like using, like maybe AI, machine learning, digital solutions app that can have like accelerate the use of like solar rooftop. Or I talked to like some wind project developer as well, and then they talk about like how to optimize the design of the wind farm, right? Or how to optimize like the solar use, or how to use like AI machine learning to better forecast the wind production, right? So that could be like different solutions, or like how to use like machine learning to like find like good like areas to use, like to do feasibility study, getting feasibility study, or they find the good place to do like biomass project, like data, like getting the right data. Right? So it could be like very, very different solutions that we aim to support. And I'm really not an IT expert here, right? So you guys must be much better than me explaining this concept. But I really hope that you guys are interested to join our program, and together we try to support and have like more like energy entrepreneurs in these sectors. So Here, just an example of like power plant pre-feasibility study simplified by an app that it can integrate like region profiling, site selection, energy modeling, and financial modeling in this app. Yeah. So, any questions?
So, can you help me understand, as a foreigner in Vietnam, what are the energy challenges in this country?
In this country?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, I think it's really kind of macro questions. I think like, so with the growing demand of population here and the growing demand of electricity consumption here, right? So certainly we have some challenge. I mean, on a general level, so there's a lack of electricity. And the second challenge is, you know, like huge problem with the air pollution, and that we need to think about how to use the energy in a more efficient way, whether we need to transition from coal power plant to more like solar farm or wind farm. And it comes to the cost, you know, like I talked to a lot of like wind project developer and solar project developer, and they talk about like how to reduce the cost of using the new technologies. And because of that, we need to find about like different solutions. And it's not only about like, you know, you heard a lot about like solar cell price already decreasing, and we think about like hardware is one thing, but also the software, how you can optimize like your production, and then you can find ways to reduce costs from like manufacturing production to like O&M, so like operation and maintenance as well. So that's the challenge, I think. I mean, when it comes to like the grid problem as well, you see that in some area when they have the new solar power plant and the wind power plant, it even comes to the problem when they connect integrate this electricity there to the grid, because it will become like the grid stability, right? When it comes too many like load there, that could be the problem. So when we need to talk about smart grid as well. And then about air pollution, we think about electric vehicle, it could be the solutions, but of course it's, you know, maybe it's more expensive, maybe the technology here is not ready. Yeah, so I think that's the general questions, the general answer to your questions.
Thank you.
And then we hope to bring more experts to come to our hackathon to explain about the challenge. And then we hope to see like any of you guys here to come to our hackathon and, you know, bring some solutions from the IT side. That's why, you know, we bring people together. Yeah, thank you very much. And any more questions? All right. Okay, yeah, thank you. I hope to see you soon.
So we are going to the final moment of our conference. So on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank you so much about staying with us to this moment. And so that's why we preserve the last moment for the best moment. The program committee have decided that we will have one best student paper and one best paper award. The decision is based on the comments and score of PC member and the discussion among PC co-chair. So firstly, I would like to invite the first author of the paper, preliminary result on Asian charm character recognitions from charm inscription images. The first author. Actually, he's an undergraduate student before, but he trying to solve a very challenging task. And we would like to congratulate Mr. Minh Thắng Nguyen from MICA International Research Institute for the Best Student Paper Award. And the best paper award. Actually, this paper received the best score, the highest score on the reviewing process. And we would like to invite representative author of the paper, semi-supervisor and multitask learning for on-street parking space status inference. Maybe, yeah, two of you is okay, yeah, because, okay, congratulations. Yeah. We highly evaluate this paper because about its originality, its solidity, and well-written paper, also very well presentation of the paper. Congratulations. Thank you very much for staying with us, and we do hope that we will see you in the next conference next year. And now it's time for lunch, so please enjoy your coffee, enjoy your lunch, and enjoy your food, and enjoy your time in Ho Chi Minh City. Thank you very much.